All right. I think we're finally live. I'm so sorry, you guys. So I took my computer and I just plugged it in as a laptop and I went to plug it in. And when I did, the whole thing went black. And so I had to get my adult son to come in and help me. All he did was shut my computer off and turn it back on. So I'm really sorry to keep you guys waiting. It's really rude and I do apologize very much. But yeah, my computer was begging me to unload files from it, I do believe. So tonight, thank you guys. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you all. Um, we're going to do a couple of things tonight, actually. So, a couple thousand of you at least found my YouTube channel through Veronica and Jilian's case and the Facebook group. And we greatly appreciate all of you being here and for following that case and being so dedicated to getting justice for them. But what most of you may not know is that I've also been covering true crime for at least 3 years here on YouTube. So I cover many different kinds of cases, not just this one. And tonight we are going to go over the newest filings in Veronica and Jilian's case. There's not much new there, but we will go over what there is, and hopefully kind of clear up maybe some, um, you know, questions that people have. But also, we want to highlight two other cases that I think need attention. And one of those is that of a missing Kansas woman and her toddler. And that is Crystal Demoss and her 1-year-old son, Leland. They are missing out of Great Bend, Kansas. And then the other is a cold case that many have already covered on YouTube. I spent the afternoon going back through watching videos and stuff, and I remember when the case came out, but I definitely needed a refresher. But it's been quite a while, so that case is that of Chance Englebert, and so welcome. I thank you guys for being here, taking time out of your day. Just to come and listen to Tara and I, and hopefully we can clear up some things and bring some attention to other cases that truly do need attention as well. While there's going to be a little bit of a lull in this case, there's just going to be some court filings happening for a little while. And during that time, we'll always remain focused on Veronica and Jilian, of course. But there's other cases that also need attention. So when there's that lull, then, I'm definitely always happy to cover that. And I know Tara is as well. So again, welcome.
Hello.
Yes, and thank you, Tara. Always thank you, Tara. Thank you, the mods. If you're in here, we appreciate you guys. And let's get started with Crystal Demoss real quick. There's not a whole lot of information right now. So I'm going to do my best to share what we do know and what we do know actually to be factual on that. And on the screen now, that is Crystal. And let me take my background off because that's annoying. Okay, there we go. So this is Crystal Demoss. She is missing out of Great Bend, Kansas. Says she was last seen May 5th of 2024. She's 32 years old. This is her little boy, 1-year-old Leland. Both herself and her son are currently missing. Her vehicle was found at the residence of her boyfriend, and I did not make this flyer. So this is Great Bend Police Department, Missing People in America made the flyer. But her boyfriend or her vehicle was found at her and her boyfriend's home, and she currently resides with him or was residing with him. So this is Crystal's picture right here, and that's her little boy Leland, last seen on May 5th. And let me go over real quick the article that has come out. We lost Tara. Okay, we got Tara back.
I have to refresh every time you put something on the screen.
Oh, no. All right. So out of Great Bend, Kansas, this was just posted and then updated May 8th. So yesterday. Police in Great Bend are seeking the public's assistance in locating a missing mom and her infant son. According to a missing persons flyer from the Great Bend Police Department, Crystal Demoss, 32, was reported missing on Sunday, May 5th from the Great Bend, Kansas area. Several locations were searched and no contact has been made with her or her infant son. The police chief, Steve Hallmark, said during a city council meeting that the two could possibly be in danger. And that is according to Great Bend Post, which the police chief did confirm that is correct. Crystal's vehicle was located at the residence of a 25-year-old man with whom she shares a son. That man was booked into Barton County Jail on Monday, May 6th, on suspicion of criminal use of weapons and possession of marijuana. He was bonded out. In the Great Bend Post, Hallmark said it's kind of a strange deal. An individual who's identified in the investigation is a previously convicted felon. He was arrested for a couple of things, to include being possession of a firearm. And according to the Kansas Bureau of Investigation, Crystal was last seen on Thursday, May 2nd. So 7 days ago. The Kansas Bureau of Investigation describes Crystal as 5'3". She weighs about 180 pounds with brown hair and brown eyes. Her son's name and age have not been officially released at this time, but he is 1 year old. And if anyone has any information, they're asked to contact the Great Bend Police Department by calling 911 or anonymously through their tips hotline. And there is the phone number 620-792-1300. So this is Crystal Demoss. I also wanted to share, this is on the screen now. This is her ex, and Crystal has kids with Brian here. And he had made this comment in one of the posts about her. And he says, just so the internet will settle down, I have 2 kids with her. Now, this is her ex, not the one she currently lives with. His name is Tyler Epp. This is Brian. I have 2 kids with her. She came to see our girls in January, as I was no longer letting her take them after my girls told me that her boyfriend hit her in front of them in July, and then he beat the HELLL out of her in September. She was known to go off radar for a couple of weeks when she was pissed at me. I couldn't get a hold of her, but she was known to block my number, so I didn't think much of it. Her family reached out to me to see if I had heard from her, and I hadn't, so I got curious. Then our girls asked why they hadn't seen her in a few months, so she hasn't seen her daughters in a few months either. So I started digging. I got videos that concerned me from September when she was beat to hell. So I went to Great Bend and I made a lot of noise. I'm the one who reported her missing. After things really started not making sense, I believed she could be in danger because of what her boyfriend was and is capable of. So this is the father of 2 of her daughters that was saying this. He also made another post today. Hopefully everybody can see everything just fine. He made another post today, and that one said, to everyone who is following everything with Crystal, I'm going to ask in the most respectful way to stop contacting me for information. Yes, I am the one who reported her missing. There's a whole lot going on. And unfortunately for my family and I, the internet is a shithole, and people who aren't even involved believe they know what's going on. It's so bad that a person who beat someone to a bloody pulp is being stood up for, meaning the current boyfriend or ex, whichever he is. And the man who reported her missing, me, is having fingers pointed like I did something wrong. Everyone can speculate, but I'm in the middle of it. My family is in the middle of it. All anyone needs to know is my daughters are safe, and I will continue to do what's necessary to keep them safe. Everything that is happening and continues to happen will eventually come. And, but the ignorance of certain people on the internet is actually impressive. So my wife, our children, and I are off limits to questions. Thank you. Please, everyone, if you want to still be involved for some reason, just share the post and get it spread out there. So he's just really not wanting to be harassed, as many, many families are when this happens. I don't blame him one bit. This is another picture of Crystal and Tyler. This is the one that she has been living with and raising her 1-year-old son. So this is Tyler on the left, Crystal on the right. I chose to share this picture as well. These are just tattoos that she does have. I didn't see very good descriptions of like her tattoos and stuff. So these are tattoos of her legs. And this is another picture of her without quite as much makeup on. Crystal's very much into makeup. Her Facebook is flooded. She does an amazing job with makeup. But this is a picture of her as she probably looks more normally without all of that on. So this is Crystal Demoss. Her and her 1-year-old are missing out of Great Bend, Kansas. And that's about all I have on that. Tara, do you have anything to add to it?
Not a whole lot. I live about an hour and a half or so away from Great Bend, Russell area. There's just such little information. There's not a lot that we can find, and so if somebody can give me direction, I mean, I'm happy to go boots on the ground to go talk to people and kind of get a feel of what's going on. But it's just there's just not a lot of details. Just tell us where to kind of take it and start really pushing some buttons and getting um, some kind of information. So we just need to keep attention on this one. And see, once people start feeling comfortable, maybe to come forward, we can get some more information as to what's going on here.
Definitely. And I know Lynn is in here. Lynn is one of Crystal's friends. Lynn has said that Crystal did speak with her mother. I believe it was April 29th. Is that correct? So even though one of the flyers had said she had not been seen since January 14th, the newest says May 2nd. So I'm not sure who saw her on May 2nd. Did somebody see her May 2nd? We just don't know. Is she possibly hiding? I don't know that either. But regardless, she's missing, and there are, people that really want her found, her mother and things like that. So
Agreed. And Lynn did confirm it was April 29th that she spoke to her mother last.
okay, great. So yeah, April 29th. So she really hasn't been missing since January. My understanding is that she'll go off. So she's really active on social media, but then she'll go off social media for a little bit. And maybe this is one of those times. We just don't know. We don't know,
Yeah.
but the Great Bend Police Department is saying that she's possibly in danger. So that's what we're going to go with for now. If anybody'd like to talk with us about it, behind the scenes, we're more than happy to talk with you. Like Tara said, she is very close to Great Bend. She does not mind one bit to go out there. I don't either. If that's something that, would be helpful, we're happy to do that. All right. So let me get over here to.
And as soon as I know what you're doing, you're getting ready to put something else on the
I
screen.
sure
So
am.
I'm gonna have to refresh as soon as you do it. So let me back in.
Okay. For some reason, every time I share something new, Tara gets kicked out of here.
Well, it just won't show me the screen until I refresh and kick myself out. I can't see it, or if somebody else calls in. It's like, I don't know what it is. It is so crazy, but that's okay. We just make do.
That's right.
So yeah, Lynn, you're more than welcome to message me. And again, I'm not very far away. It's an easy trip up there. Okay, here she goes. As soon as it's up on the screen, I'll coming right back in.
Okay, it's on the screen now. So I'm going to let Tara go over. She did create these slides for us. I'm going to let her go over those, and then we do have some video footage that we can share on Chance. And then once we've covered Chance, then we will move right into the documentation on Veronica and Jilian. All right, can you see the screen now, Tara?
No, but I have my slides up, so we will
Okay,
just make it
perfect.
work. We'll
Well,
just
I'll
make it
just
work.
follow along with your slides then.
Okay,
All
so
right.
what
I'm going to
we
mute
what we're
out.
pres okay, so what we're presenting today is Chance Englebert. I was familiar with this case, having listened to some other true crime podcasts out there, and not too long ago, somebody did make a comment in the Veronica, I think it was in the Veronica and Jilian, or one of the new uh, Kari Moody true crime group. One of the two pages, somebody had mentioned Chance's name, and if we had looked at it, and so I told Kari this was right up our alley, and so Chance Englebert um, disappeared on July 6th, 2019. He was 25 years of age at the time. He disappeared from Gearing, Nebraska, and that is the northwest corner of the state of Nebraska. He's about 5'10", 195 pounds, so not a small guy. He's been described as athletic, brown hair, brown eyes. He lived, at the time, he's living in Moorcroft. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, but you guys will help me out with that if I'm not. Moorcroft, Wyoming. He has a wife, her name is Bailey, and their young infant son, Banks. So originally, Chance is from Burdock, South Dakota, which is near Edgemont. And he had been recently hired at a Blakeman Propangs. He had been laid off from his previous job. There had been a huge amount of layoffs, and he got hit with them. And so he had this new job. He was a quick turnaround, and he was going to be starting that new job on July 8th, which I think was the following Monday from his disappearance. And so we go over to the next slide. So basically, on what happened on the day of July 6th, and what you're seeing there, that picture is an actual picture of the golf course. So I want you to think that's something real. It's not just some pretty background. But for the 4th of July weekend, Chance, Bailey, and their son Banks, they went to visit Bailey's family for the 4th of July weekend in Gearing, uh, Nebraska. So Chance spent most of his day with Bailey's male relatives playing golf at the, I think, Bayard. Again, you guys correct me on that. Bayard Gold Course, and it's about 25 miles from Gearing, and that's a picture from the website of the golf course. Bailey reports that when she picked Chance up later that day, he was really upset at one of her family members. They had said something, and Bailey says that Chance simply misunderstood it. After a long day of golfing, they went and had a couple of beers. There was some talk about Chance's new job, and it just upset Chance. And so Chance said they were going home. And by home, he meant back to their home in Moorcroft. And so Bailey said, okay. They went back to Bailey's family. I think it was her grandmother's house where they were staying. And they were going to get their things. And they pull into the drive. And that was about 7:30. And according to Bailey, Chance just walks off. He just walks away from the driveway. And so there's been some back and forth reports that there was some sort of disagreement or argument between Bailey and Chance in the car, but that's not been confirmed. So we from 7:30 to and you're already on the next slide. You're awesome, Kari. 7:30, Chance walks away from Bailey's grandmother's house. So this, what you see here, is kind of a loose timeline of the last communications with Chance. At 7:45, Chance calls his friend Matt, who's up in Gillette, Michigan, and says he's walking to Torrington, Wyoming, and he wants Matt to come pick him up from there. Matt says, I've been drinking and with friends. I can't do it, but I'll call around and find you somebody to pick you up. Around 9:08 p.m., there's a final text sent from Chance's phone to his Aunt Katie. Now, she's not blood family. She is a very dear friend, a very close friend of the family. She's known Chance since he was born, so he lovingly calls her Aunt Katie. They're very close. Now, what that text shows, I've seen varying reports on. I've seen it was something very simple, and Katie didn't think much of it, and I've seen it was a bunch of weird letters, real kind of like just gibberish with some emojis, which is unusual because Chance wasn't known to use emojis. The phone was turned off shortly after, and no activity from the phone thereon. Now, in between all that, there's two videos of Chance walking. He appears to be fine. It's like he's walking with purpose and determination, which has been also reported as he's not walking in any impaired way, like he wasn't drunk, he wasn't stumbling, he seemed fine. There's also a sighting of him somebody had seen him walking along with these two videos. The phone pinged near a WTT truck stop in Scottsbluff. So it pinged because it was within range of a tower that has an arched area. So what that means is that while the ping does fit the description of the timeline, doesn't mean that Chance was at the truck stop. I'm not sure how that arch ping works. I'm going to look into that to better understand if it's a triangular ping or if it's a close by ping, whatever it is. We're going to take a look at that. And so, but we're going to jump down to the next slide. So in addition to those last communications, there's some other kind of crazy things that are going on. During that week that Chance went missing, there was some cement that had been freshly poured. I don't know where, I don't know when exactly. I've just seen some reports of it, so that's something to look into, even though it was investigated. And it seems like it's not important to his disappearance, but I still find it interesting that it's been brought up in several different reports. Again, this is 5 years later, and so I need to figure out a timeline of when all these reports and all this information was coming out so we understand how this all developed. There was a cell phone that was found at Chance and Bailey's porch in Moorcroft, and it supposedly belonged to a homeless guy. It was turned over to DCI. I don't know exactly what that means, what the DCI acronym stands for. Again, I looked into all of this afternoon, so I have a lot of details to catch up on. But it seems like the phone is probably not involved either. But still kind of weird to find a cell phone randomly left on somebody's porch after he goes missing. Don't know. Definitely something to look into. What's also interesting is that Chance went missing at 7:30. It's the last time that Bailey had seen him, though he was seen walking later. We'll get into that in a second. But Bailey didn't call his parents right away. In fact, there was some, let's look around for him. Where did he go? He's not here. And so it was later on in the evening when Bailey was finally told, I think by her dad or some family member, you need to call his parents and let him know that you don't know where he's at. And reports say she didn't want to, but she did. She discouraged Chance's parents from coming to help look. And I'm not saying that because that report is there. I'm saying that because in several other podcasts I've listened to, Chance's mother has said Bailey told her, don't come, nothing you can do, it's getting dark. Okay, so they all wait. And then they're finally 11 o'clock the next morning on July 7th. There is a police report, missing persons report filed in Gearing for Chance. So it's all kind of weird. It's not really, there's a lot of pieces of this puzzle missing. So I thought, well, let's look at, it seems to me the routes may be important, the locations of where he was heading to versus where he was supposed to be going to. And so per his friend, Matt, Chance called him asking for a ride home around 7:45. Well, if you look at the map on the left, the only thing that's different between the two maps that you see there, the map on the left is driving time. The map on the right is walking time. So from the residence, and that residence is that red dot down there, that red pin, that's in the 400 block of O Street in Gearing, which is the location of where Chance and his wife were staying. And so to drive from there to Torrington, which is on the top left part of the map, that's about a 45-minute drive. But to walk it, it's anywhere from 12 to 13 hours. So it's kind of unusual that Chance would want to start walking 7:30 at night to Torrington, which is in Wyoming. So we're going to have to cross the Nebraska-Wyoming border to get to Torrington. So it just doesn't seem right, but I haven't seen anything that said that would be unusual. It wasn't unusual for Chance to take walks when he was upset, but to walk that far was unusual. So on the next slide, what I'm going to show you is that per Bailey, at some point in time, Bailey says that Chance called her to say, I'm going to walk to Kimball. Well, I haven't found clarification if it was Kimball, Nebraska, which is the map on the left. That's walking time to Kimball from Gearing. So it's about a 15-hour walk. Or if he was going to Kimball Avenue, which is in Gearing, and that's about a 30-minute walk. And so these things, and that's going south. That's in the opposite direction of Torrington. Torrington is northwest of Gearing, and Kimball is south. Either the avenue or the city. That's both. He'd have to head south to get to Kimball. So it just doesn't seem things are adding up. That map on the right, on the right, that is a driving time for Kimball. It's about 41 minutes driving time. So it just seems kind of odd. It's definitely eye-catching, the locations where he said he was going to different people. So the
Very.
sightings, yeah, it's so weird because it gets weirder now. On the next slide there, these are the maps where he was spotted. Well, the first map is to Kimball Street. He tells Bailey, I'm going to Kimball Street. Kimball is southwest of the location. So the red dot at the top right of that first map that says to Kimball Street, he has to head southwest for 30 minutes to get anywhere on Kimball Street. The next map where it says he's been seen passing Domino's, that's almost directly north and a little bit west of where he was staying at, where he walked away. So that's Domino's. He was seen there by a person. The next two pictures will show you camera footage. This is actual camera footage from Dooley Oil and Overhead Door Company. He was seen at Dooley Oil, and a few minutes later, he was seen at Overhead Door Company. Those, again, are both north. So from Domino's over to Dooley, over to the Doorhead Company, if you kind of put those three maps together, those make sense and those fly together. And when you look at the last slide, you could take that route to Torrington. That is the direction to Torrington if you take the darker blue dots versus the lighter blue line. So telling his wife he's going south, maybe to deter her family, maybe he thought there was a problem, and telling his friend he's going northwest, there's definitely something going on there. There's something he wants to get away from, something he's not happy about. But none of the reports, none of the sightings, none of the camera footage indicate that he was impaired in any way. So I don't know. So that night, I think there was a storm that night that was coming in, pretty heavy storm. No tornadoes or anything like that reported, I don't think. I have to go back and look at the weather information from that night. But some of the family believes he was just kind of swept away with the storm. Some family believes that he was picked up by a trucker, just disappeared. And there are some that think maybe Bailey's family had something to do with it. So everything is all over the place. It's just they can't figure out anything. There's no traces of him. There's been, like I said, there are a lot of reports of a lot of different things. There's a lot of information to go through, but this is what we kind of know for sure based on the podcast, the reports, and the podcast, the one I listened to today to refresh myself. It had his mother and it had his friend Matt. And I'm not sure if it was his friend Matt. One of his friends, his wife Bailey, was on there. His aunt Katie, and so this all lines up with their words and a couple of other reports. So very similar, where it just kind of disappears and there may be a family angle attached to it, which is why I told Kari, this is probably up our alley of interest and kind of looking into this.
Definitely. Yeah, this is interesting for sure. So good job on those slides and the maps. Thank you.
Thank
I was
you.
busy looking up videos and stuff so that I could familiarize myself with it. And so I do have some of those that I chose that I thought were good information from. These are going to be a couple are from other creators, but mostly it's going to be News Nation and things like that. But let's flip over here. So I think that was the last slide, wasn't it?
Yes, that was my
It
last
was.
slide.
It was. Good
There was
job.
no closing slide. We are the closing slide.
We are. All right. Got it.
There's an interesting comment, and I'd like to. Joanne Smith says that, interestingly enough, Jilian, I think she meant Jilian. Jilian's family's from Gearing, and Chance went missing from there. That is, I will be looking into that for sure.
It was quite the
Macy Brown was,
coincidence.
yes, it is. It's a little creepy. So Macy Brown, what we've done so far, just a quick brief. We talked about Crystal Demoss and her situation. We are doing a refresher right now on Chance Englebert from. He's originally from Moorcraft, but he went missing from Gearing. this happened to be brought up in one of our groups earlier this week, so we wanted to look into that. And here later on, we're going to go into Veronica and Jilian and do some updates from there. So just to bring you up to speed, and you'll have to go back and watch to get all the nitty gritty stuff.
All right. So hopefully everybody will be able to hear this.
The mysterious disappearance of Chance Englebert, Gering, Nebraska, March 9, 2024. In a baffling turn of events, the disappearance of 30-year-old Chance Englebert has left the community of Gering, Nebraska on edge since he was last seen on July 6, 2019. Englebert's case was officially entered into the Missing Persons Center database on March 5, 2024, and remains active and is classified unknown missing. Chance, a Caucasian white male, stands at 5 feet 9 inches tall and weighs 195 pounds. He has light brown hair, hazel eyes, and was last seen wearing a short-sleeved Wrangler button-up shirt, Wrangler blue jeans, Roper boots, and a black and white ball cap. His disappearance is shrouded in mystery, and efforts to locate him have yielded little information. The timeline of events leading up to Chance's disappearance is crucial in understanding the circumstances. Chance, his wife Bailey, and their 3-month-old son Banks had traveled to Gering to visit Bailey's family over the 4th of July weekend. This visit followed Chance's recent layoff from a coal mine in Wyoming, where he quickly secured a job at a local propane company. However, trouble began brewing during a seemingly innocent golf outing with his father-in-law Scott and brother-in-law Kyler in Bayard, NE. Following the golf game, Chance, upset over a comment made about his new job, called his wife for a ride back to their home in Moorcroft, Wyoming. The situation escalated during the drive, leading to Chance leaving on foot upon arrival at Bailey's grandparents' home in Gering. Bailey, initially not alarmed, recounted that Chance often took walks to cool off when upset. In the following hours, Chance contacted his friend Matt Miller, indicating that he was walking to either Torrington or Kimball. Surveillance footage captured him passing by various locations in Gering, but the trail goes cold around Stable Club Road. Chance's last known communication occurred after 9 p.m., with his aunt receiving a cryptic text containing letters and an emoji, which struck her as unusual given Chance's non-emoji usage. As the night progressed, a thunderstorm rolled in, causing flooding in the area. Bailey's grandfather searched for Chance, but to no avail. The next morning, Bailey reported him missing to the Gering Police Department, triggering an extensive search effort. Chief George Holthus reported that 147 individuals participated in ground searches, covering 2,400 acres of land. Aerial searches conducted by the Nebraska State Police and Airlink spanned 380 miles, while K-9 units scoured lakes, ponds, and the river. Despite these efforts, Chance Englebert's whereabouts remain unknown. The mystery deepens as the community grapples with unanswered questions surrounding Chance's sudden disappearance. Authorities urge anyone with information to come forward as the search for Chance Englebert continues. If you have information on the whereabouts of Chance Englebert, please contact law enforcement as noted on his full profile at the Missing Persons Center. Thank you for your assistance, and be sure to view other profiles on our site or on this channel.
Thank you for viewing this missing persons profile. To help us make a difference, please visit our website at missingpersonscenter.org and consider volunteering, donating, or subscribing to our Patreon podcast called Missing and Cold. And
All right. So that was kind of a quick overview of it. This one is in the very beginning. So, and I'll drop all those links for these videos in the chat, but I'll also put them all in the description of the video if you guys want to go back and watch them on your own. This one is his family spoke at a press briefing, and this is going to be from 4 years ago. So, let me.
Thanks for joining us again this afternoon. Thanks for being here. We just wanted to take the opportunity to give a brief update on kind of where operations have been today. With all the work that's been done so far, the southwest part of Scottsbluff, some of our operations have been expanded into the northwest corners of Gering this afternoon.
I'm going to skip this over to where his family speaks.
Englebert, I'm Chance's mom. My husband Everett. Our boy, you know Bailey.
Bailey and Banks.
Scott. We just ask anybody to send any information. Somebody had to see something and know something. This just isn't Chance. He's not like this. He definitely would have went for a walk for a few hours to clear his mind, but he would have been home. He would have been with his son.
He's a pretty good old kid. He wouldn't have been gone this long from his baby boy.
He's a family man. He loves his whole family. He would have done this to us. So please, and we are offering a reward. People are donating all the time for that. For any information leading to get us Chance back, safe or not safe.
Do you mind if I ask a question?
Yes, please.
You guys have raised money for the reward and that's been through donations. If somebody wants to donate to you guys, how can they do that?
They can send it to the Black Hills Federal Credit Union in care of Chance Englebert Reward Money. It is at 330 South Chicago, Hot Springs, South Dakota, 57747.
And I'm sure you guys appreciate those who've been generous enough to help you guys out with that reward.
Yes, the surrounding community for Gearing, Scottsbluff, Torrington, Edgemont, Gillette has been astounding.
If somebody knows something, they're scared, call the local law enforcement, remain unanimous. Just say something, do something, man up a little bit.
Also, I'm her mom. If anybody has security cameras, don't take for granted just because we live in a house that didn't walk by our neighborhood. If you look on your cameras the night of that night and look from maybe 7 to maybe midnight, even later, I think it's not going to hurt you. If you have a security camera system of any kind, look at that, please. Maybe it will help find an answer that he walked by a time frame so that we can see, maybe pinpoint where he was at.
Had a white and black trucker's cap on, the back half was all white, see-through mesh, and up here there wasn't an insignia or nothing, just plain black.
His regular shirt was grayish purple, had like streaks of gray in it. He wasn't wearing his MWZs, it was a different regular jean. He had old school ropers on and the footprints had distinctive horseshoes on them, so pretty noticeable. About a size 9 shoe.
Is there any, do you guys want to maybe talk about what kind of son or husband or father that Chance was for those who may be watching? And
He sure doesn't sound like the type that would just walked away from his family, does he?
Not at all.
Out. Yeah, he liked to have fun, he partied, but he loved more.
Worked hard, paid his bills, doing a good job, had his head on pretty good for 25.
Extremely responsible. Handled all of his responsibilities before he ever did anything else.
Was he slated to start a new job this week on Monday?
He was supposed to start his new job Monday, and I've been in contact with them and his previous job at Butler
And his job is still ready for him in Moorcroft. Both the bosses have contacted us and said, bring Chance back, we want him here to work. Yes, he was one of the 600 laid off, but he had a future, that wasn't a problem. Thank you.
So it looks like it was 3 days after he was reported missing.
I think that's all we got.
That video was from July 10th of 2019. So yeah, Tara's correct. So just 4 days after he went missing, that was when his family spoke at that press briefing. but he just does not seem like the kind that just walked away. Now, the other
I
thing
agree.
is that I also was able to find this. Now, I don't know that this creator still creates videos. I didn't see anything new. However, she did cover Chance quite a bit back then. And this video is from March 17th of 2020. And she actually kind of rewalks the trace, well, she drives it, but rewalks the retraces his steps basically on the day that he went missing. And so let me get that shared here. This creator was Lynn Seeks.
Chance Englebert starts out at Bailey's grandparents' house. Whether he takes a right or a left as he's walking out the door is unknown, as there is no video. If he had taken a left, he would have ended up out on a main street through Gearing. And on this main street, there is a number of places that would have picked him up on video, such as banks. That has led people to believe that he in fact took a right, instead taking a side street. That's the way we are going now.
Yes, Bailey is his wife.
While on this walk, Chance continues to be identified through surveillance cameras at different buildings that he is walking past. Point, Chance is seen crossing over Main Street to the other side. He will continue down for a couple more blocks before taking a left. At that point, he is headed towards another area of town which is referred to as Kari Town. On the surveillance tape, at least once Chance is seen falling down. Other people that have observed the tape have specifically noted that his steps seem different or that his gait was unusual for him. When you come down this road, you end up in what is eventually a muddy dead end. So there's two theories at this point what happened. Either Chance turned around and went back the other direction, or he would have had to have walked up over this embankment to try to get to the highway on the other side. There is a bridge at the top. He could have gone over a railroad bridge, or he would have had to have walked through this in order to get over. If he went this way and got on the highway, he was never seen again. Some people believe that once Chance reached the end of the road, he did in fact turn around and start walking the other way back. The reason was because at this point, Chance had made multiple phone calls trying to reach someone to pick him up. Unable to obtain a ride, it is possible that he started walking back this direction. In fact, there is one camera that does pick up a person walking back this direction at the appropriate time. However, due to the image being grainy and somewhat difficult to see, no one has been able to confirm 100% that it is in fact Chance walking back. At the edge of the road.
So it seems like, I mean, if he, unless he was picked up somewhere, that it looks like, I mean, that area was searched really good from what I understand.
Yeah. The area, the acreage around it, the waterways, because of that storm, there was some thought that he had been washed away with the storm essentially, but the family, his mom, his dad, those folks had said, no, he's athletic. He knows how to handle storms. He was raised up in that area. They couldn't buy into the fact that he would not be able to handle a storm or even the hypothermia. They did say it was a colder rain that night. The I don't know, and it just I don't know. There's just I don't know.
Yeah,
There's it's
they've
interesting.
said
It definitely
that
has my attention.
like he was raised in Wyoming, and that
Yeah.
he would have been able to know how to, deal with the
Oh yeah.
weather and things like that.
The land and
Jane
no,
MC
Lynn,
is
he didn't have any limp or soreness when he was
mm-mm.
walking. He walked with purpose, and like he walked as though he was going somewhere. Did not look impaired to the family. Bailey confirmed the same thing as his parents, and so no, he didn't look to be impaired at all.
Now this next one, this is a News Nation, and let's see when this was. So this would have been January 5th of 2022. I'm going to speed it up here just a little bit, but this does give quite good
on the
information.
surface, but becomes complicated as you dig deeper. The disappearance of Chance Englebert has left the town of Gering, Nebraska frustrated. The father and husband vanished in July of 2019. More than 2 years later, after continued searches, there has been no sign of Chance. But concerns continue to grow that something bad may have happened. Tonight, you are going to see exclusive surveillance video of the last time that Chance was seen and hear from nearly everyone involved in this case. Here is investigative correspondent Rich McHugh.
25-year-old Chance Englebert was a cowboy at heart, putting himself through college on a riding scholarship.
So you're gonna get this book already? Yep.
Right.
Yep. First one from college, so.
In 2018, he married Bailey, and they had a baby boy, Banks. The future was bright.
He was looking forward to a new job at a propane company in Moorcroft, Wyoming, where the couple lived. But then, tragedy. During a 2019 4th of July trip to Bailey's hometown, Gering, Nebraska, Chance Englebert vanished.
So we have people searching, walking along the canal now.
According to Gering police, on July 6th, Chance was golfing with Bailey's family, and Chance got upset over comments how he'd be making less money at his new job. According to Bailey, Chance called and said he wanted to leave, wanted to go back home to Wyoming. She picked him up and drove to her grandparents' house in Gering, and that, she said, made him more upset. He got out of the car and started walking away. He called his friend and best man, Matt Miller.
So Matt, you were the last person that Chance called, is that right?
Yeah.
What did he say?
Well, he said he got in a fight with his in-laws, and he was wanting to come back to Wyoming to his house here in Moorcroft, and needed a ride immediately. It was 4 hours away. There's just no way I could make it.
When you spoke to him that night, did he sound intoxicated?
No, he sounded upset.
Matt spoke with Chance's mother, Dawn.
So after Matt called, we reached out a couple times. His aunt, his uncle, my husband, just kind of waited out.
But Chance did not answer. Surveillance footage obtained by News Nation shows Chance Englebert walking through Gering around 7:50 p.m. that night. In the video, you can see Chance look at his phone and then take a 90-degree turn left, as if following a map.
That last snippet of video, what do you see?
I see a kid that had a mission and he knew he wanted out of town.
An hour later, a powerful storm passed through Gering with lightning and high winds. Around that time, at 9:08 that night, a text sent from Chance's phone to his aunt with an expressionless or annoyed face emoji and a confusing mix of letters. Then, according to the local sheriff, Chance's phone went dark.
Nothing on his phone after 9:08, nothing.
The next morning, Bailey filed a missing persons report. Family and friends mobilized immediately on foot, using drones, scouring the treacherous landscape.
Bailey and James. We just ask anybody to send any information.
2 years later, still no answers.
I see the video of him walking down the street on the surveillance cameras, and I replay that every day, thinking I'm going to figure out where and why. But nothing's coming yet.
So this is still an active investigation.
It is very much so.
Brian Eads is the lead investigator on the case for Gering Police. Do you think that we're dealing with a homicide or simply somebody who might have had a tragic accident?
You know, we always try to treat things as a homicide until they're proved otherwise. At this point, there's no evidence to show that it is a homicide, but there really isn't any evidence to show that it's not either.
Investigator Eads says they've enlisted outside agencies, K-9 teams. They've conducted search warrants, polygraph tests, and still chased down leads. Early on, the theory was that Chance fell into the river. Is that still one of the theories?
It's still one of the theories. His last known proximity was in close proximity to the river.
This is Martha Road, so we know that Chance turned here and he would have walked down this way.
Amanda Waldron is a volunteer investigator with We Help the Missing, a nonprofit team of private investigators dedicated to locating missing persons. We're at Terry Lake, near where that camera caught the final images of Chance.
So in addition to the river, this is one of the other kind of bodies of water that they say is a strong possibility.
Yes, we know that Chance walked down the road right here in front of this body of water. There was a storm that night. It was raining. The weather was bad. So that is kind of led to believe that water could have been involved.
Another belief is that Chance's disappearance was no accident. Some people say, look, there was a powerful storm that night. The river was at its all-time high.
I believe those texts do come up in one of these videos that I have here.
Mm-hmm.
Second, no. We put hours and hours and hours down there walking river bottoms, and I don't think he's in a river. I think he's buried underground and he's hidden. If he got hurt by that storm, Mother Nature doesn't hide a body like that.
Chance's disappearance has completely divided Chance and Bailey's family and friends. Dawn says she hasn't seen her grandson Banks in over 2 years.
Are you in touch with his wife, Bailey?
No.
Why?
From her text messages that she wants nothing to do with me. She hates me. She blames me for everything that happened with Chance.
I'd love to have an hour sit down with Bailey, for sure. That's the only person I'd like to talk to.
Chance's wife, Bailey, declined to be interviewed on camera for this story because she says she's received death threats and fears for her safety because she says there's a lot of false information and accusations against her family. She did speak with me at length, calling Chance's disappearance and the mystery around it absolutely devastating, and says she continues to work with the police. Quote, I told cops everything that I know. I've been completely transparent with them. I've never hid anything from anybody involved with it. They just don't like the answers that I have to give. We invited the police into our homes to do searches, and we were all cleared by PD long ago. Investigator Eads says Bailey has been forthcoming from the start.
All of the family members have been interviewed. All of their properties have been searched by law enforcement.
In a case shrouded in mystery, Bailey said she hopes for some sort of clarity soon. I can look at different facts of the case, she said, and how he was as a person and essentially drive myself crazy with what could have happened or what did happen. But at the end of the day, I don't have any answers. I'm really ready for the day that we do have answers, though. Chance's family continue to search and have raised over $17,000 in reward money.
I need people to know, and he needs justice. I don't know who did it to him. I honestly don't. I hope it's a stranger. I just want people, somebody knows. You see this town, it's small. Somebody's seen something, somebody knows something.
And the mystery continues. Rich McHugh is joining us live tonight. Rich, what stood out to me in reading about this case were the in-laws and this apparent argument that may have taken place between them and Chance. What are they saying tonight about his disappearance in the case?
I've only been able to speak with two people on Bailey's side of the
Right,
family, Bailey
Peacock.
and her mother,
Happens
Tracy.
all the time
And
on
I will say
YouTube
that,
streets,
even
doesn't
those
it?
conversations were hard to come by. I was speaking to Tracy for a while, and their position is the same. They are very reticent to speak. They are because of there's so much information that's on the internet and that's been talked about that they say is false and has caused them great danger. They say, and so they say, look, they have nothing to hide. And as Bailey said, she's been very forthright with the police, and they say that as well.
Mm-hmm. And Bailey spoke to you off camera. You know, you got to hear her voice, but you know the public hasn't. You know, in watching that story, you can't. So, what was your impression of Bailey? How she's doing? What more she said?
You know, this is a conundrum, Marnie. I was trying to speak with her for the greater part of about a month, and finally, just yesterday, I was able to connect with her. I think she was waiting to see, you know, what type of story I was putting together. I think she was incredibly nervous. Everybody that I spoke to in this story on both sides, and even the authorities, I think were nervous to speak about this because it's caused such a rift. But she was reticent. She was nervous. She was very careful with her words, but she was also very honest. And she answered every question that I had. We spoke for probably about half an hour, and you know, it wasn't a fun conversation, and I didn't sense tremendous emotion in her, but at the same time, she's been living with this for 2.5 years in this kind of this mess.
Two families impacted and Chance has just vanished. Before I let you go, Rich, that text message is very odd. It's hard to decipher what that means. Did the family or anybody close to Chance have any theories about what he may have been trying to say or what was going on there?
They don't know. They, you know, in one sentence, they say they don't believe that Chance even sent that text message. And the next, you know, you hear from Dawn, his mother, and she says that she truly doesn't know. So they're just, they have no idea. They don't understand why he wouldn't respond or why they couldn't connect with him. And the whole situation simply does not add up to them. And they are just devastated.
And desperate for answers. Rich McHugh, as always, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Marty.
And if you have any information about the whereabouts of Chance, contact the Gering Police Department. They're on the case. That number on your screen tonight. Thanks for watching.
What are your thoughts, Tara? I don't know. I don't know enough yet to make any kind of, real anything. Somebody definitely knows something, that's for sure.
Yeah, somebody knows something. I have a hard time believing we've got the friend he called in Wyoming, who was a genuine fellow, right? He said he had been drinking and shouldn't be driving. That's noble. Who says that Chance told him he was heading to Torrington Northwest, and it's several many miles to walk. And meanwhile, Bailey says she talked to him and said he was heading to Kimball. So, and that's clear south, approximately the same distance. That's very distinct, very different. Was he looking to make sure she couldn't find him? Was there a phone call? I don't know. I'm not there's just some of the details I've seen, the body language on the videos there. I don't think a stranger picked him up. I don't think it was Mother Nature. First off, I think your best friend knows your life pretty well. My best friend could tell
Right.
you if something happened to me. She could tell you if I've got an inner circle of ladies, and if something happened to me, they'd be able to tell you exactly, who to look at firsthand. Um, and I know that some of the reports, like the podcast I was listening to today, Dawn, Chance's mom, had said that Bailey would call her upset and screaming about the fights that Chance and she would have, and being real ugly about how Chance was. And her mom would say, if he's that bad, then leave him. And Bailey would make threats, well, you just don't want to see your grandson, or you don't want to do this, that, and the other. And then Bailey tells in the same podcast, says, we never fought. When we did fight, it was a minor argument. We got over it really quick. It was never a big deal. So those are two very
Yeah, very
polarizing
different.
descriptions. And so it makes me wonder, I don't know. I'm just not, I'm thinking that there's some people that need to be pressured a little bit more to talk. Maybe some incentive. I don't know. I'm not, I mean, it definitely has my attention now.
Yeah, and
It had,
it's going on what, 5 years? 19, 20,
yeah,
yeah,
the
5
fifth
years
year
in
anniversary will
July.
be, yeah, fifth year anniversary is coming up. And I mean, my son is close to this guy's age. I, as a mother of a child that's that age, I cannot imagine what you'd be going through. So I guess that's why I get connected to some of these cases. There's
Definitely.
just a sense of, I don't want to see people go through that. Even my worst enemy, I wouldn't want to see go through that. So it irritates me that much more that another parent, if there's involvement from the family and they're not being honest, they're not telling everything they know, at the very least not telling everything they know, even if they're not directly involved. Why would
Right.
you not tell everything you know to help somebody out? I have all the thoughts and feelings. So they're definitely going to be looking at this a
Yeah,
lot
I've
more.
noticed a lot of times in covering these cases that there tends to be little bits of information that family might leave out that is actually pretty important information. So,
Mhm.
and we don't always get that. So, Shonda said the friend Matt will know exactly how much they fought and how bad.
Mhm. Yeah, they're the two of them, Bailey, I think it was per the friend on the podcast, they said that, I don't remember which one it was off the top of my head, I'll have to look again, but he said that Bailey and Chance they all lived together at one point temporarily, and he said they fought a lot. He said he didn't think much of it, but they fought a lot. They really had to work to make that marriage work. And that aligns with what Grandma was saying, or Dawn was saying, that there's a lot of fighting going on, and she actually offered to get them counseling. And that's when Bailey she claims, based on the timeline of where she tells it, Bailey would get upset when she would offer counseling for her, for Chance, for the two of them, because she wanted them to have a successful marriage. And so,
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, they look
I'm
like a happy young couple, but as we all have come to realize, what appears on Facebook and in pictures isn't always the case. So this one, a lead investigator weighs in, and this video was from January 6th of 22. I have it sped up as well.
Detective Brian Eads is standing by to talk more about this case with us tonight. And we're also going to show you more of investigative correspondent Rich McHugh's exclusive interviews with Chance's mother and friend that you haven't seen yet. But first, I want to go through some of the facts here. This is what we know right now. On July 6, 2019, Chance became upset. Authorities say he got upset with his wife's family over comments about Chance's making less money at his new job. He got out of the car and then he walked away, calling a friend and asking him to pick him up and drive him back to Wyoming from Nebraska. And then Chance seemingly vanished. There are two main pieces of evidence in this case. This surveillance video that you're seeing here showing the last time anyone saw Chance. And then these strange text messages to his aunt the last time anyone heard from him. Texts that his friends and his family believe may not have come from Chance. Investigators are now looking at a couple of theories in the case. The first is
All right. So those are the text messages that he sent. And they are definitely a little confusing. IB just really G. And the aunt's like, you are what? So let me slow that down. I don't think they go over it much more than that, but
texts that his friends and his family believe may not have come from Chance. Investigators are now looking at a couple of theories in the case. The first is a nearby river. The theory that Chance could have wandered or fell in, possibly.
Okay, now keep in mind, this is from 2022, and I believe they did search these waters, correct?
They did, yes.
Okay.
They searched the waters in several hundreds of acres.
Okay, so some of this information is going to be a little outdated because there isn't much. He's been missing for 5 years.
Possibly becoming disoriented or caught off guard in the middle of a powerful storm that was happening in Gering that night. But searches found no body, and Chance's friends and family say there is no way that happened.
Some people say, look, there was a powerful storm that night. The river was at its all-time high. It's a very good chance that he ended up in the river, and it's a tragic accident. What would you say?
I'd say Chance was born and raised for that kind of weather. There's just no way it could take him. I've hunted with him for 2 years beforehand. The guy could cover country. I like to call him a mountain goat, man. He left me in the dust anytime we went hunting. Anytime. He was beyond belief, an outdoorsman. There's just no way the weather took him.
And now the second theory is that something bad happened to Chance, something criminal, perhaps. Many have focused on that argument that he had with his in-laws before he disappeared. Bailey, his wife, and her family did not want to be interviewed on camera for this story because they say they have received threats. Police say they have been cooperative, the family has, since the beginning. But Bailey did speak to Rich McHugh on the phone, and here's what she told him. I told the cops everything that I know. I've been completely transparent with them. I've never had hid anything from anybody involved with it. They just don't like the answers that I have to give. We invited the police into our homes to do searches, and we were all cleared long.
Is this the same one I just played, or are they just repeating information?
It looks the same. Yeah, because you pulled up the, that's the News Nation one where you pulled up the texts.
Okay, so let me go on to this one then.
Let me refresh.
Okay, I think I'd already shared that.
And we are taking a closer look
Oh,
at
there it
it.
is.
We've actually covered before, but after 4 years, there have still been no answers. 25-year-old Chance Englebert is a husband and he's a new father who disappeared from a family gathering in Nebraska in 2019. And even though years have passed, his family is not giving up hope that he'll be found. Here's a closer look at Chance's story.
When Chance Englebert made this left turn down a side street in Gering, Nebraska, no one had any idea it was the last time they would see him. His grandmother now adding $200,000 to the reward to help find him.
My husband said, Lydia, you can buy anything you want. What do you want? And I said, what I want, I can't buy. And I said, I want to find Chance.
But so far, no big breaks.
It's brought a lot of calls, but not anything that has panned out to be anything.
Chance was a former rodeo star turned family man. In 2019, he and his wife Bailey and their newborn son were spending 4th of July weekend in Bailey's hometown. According to Gering police, Chance spent July 6th golfing with his in-laws until Chance got angry at comments about his new job. According to Bailey, Chance called and said he wanted to leave to go home to their house in Wyoming. When she picked him up and drove to her grandparents' house instead, she says he got out of the car and started walking. He called his friend and best man, Matt Miller.
Well, he said he got in a fight with his in-laws and he was wanting to come back to Wyoming to his house here in Moorcroft and needed a ride immediately. That was 4 hours away. There's just no way I could make it.
When you spoke to him that night, did he sound intoxicated?
No, he sounded upset. He wanted to get the heck out of Nebraska.
Chance allegedly called back and said he was walking to Torrington, 35 miles away. This surveillance video is the last confirmed image of Chance appearing to follow a map on his phone.
I relive it over and over and over every day. I see the video of him walking down the street on the surveillance cameras, and I replay that every day, thinking I'm going to figure out where and why. But nothing's coming yet.
Then at 9:08 p.m., the last communication from Chance's phone, a text with grumpy face emoji emoji and a confusing mix of letters. A short time later, Chance's phone went dark.
Nothing on his phone after 9:08, nothing.
A powerful storm passed through the area that night, raising suggestions Chance could have fallen into the swollen river, an idea his friend rejects.
We put hours and hours and hours down there walking river bottoms, and I don't think he's in a river. I think he's buried underground and he's hidden. If he got hurt by that storm, Mother Nature doesn't hide a body like that.
If there was foul play, was it a random act or someone who knew Chance? Brian Eads, the lead investigator on the case, says they have enlisted outside investigators, canine teams, they have conducted search warrants, polygraph tests, and they still chase down leads. He says Bailey and her family have been forthcoming and thoroughly investigated.
All of the family members have been interviewed. All of their properties have been searched by law enforcement.
Amanda Waldron is a volunteer investigator with the nonprofit We Help the Missing. She says there's a long list of young men who've gone missing in Nebraska since 2019.
It is definitely alarming, definitely some concerning circumstances, suspicious circumstances, random circumstances.
Oh, wow.
Although I don't find any of them kind of fit a profile similar to Chance.
No clear similarities except for the lack of answers.
I do think because it is a less populated area, it is a lot easier to cover up a crime. A lot of people that are from the area protect their own.
Chance's family now hoping to break that silence with the additional reward money.
There will never be closure. We lost our chance. There will never be closure on this. It would be helpful to have him in a place of dignity that he deserves to be put to rest.
Not giving up hope. You have to feel for that family. And Chance's little boy, who was a baby at the time of his disappearance, will be about 3 years old right now without his dad. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com.
Well, like my first instinct, my first thought is he tried to maybe get a ride back to Wyoming, and maybe he was picked up by somebody. I agree. If he was in the water, I think that they would have found him by now.
Yeah, I think they would have too. I don't know, given that the way that his best friend talks about him, that he was basically a goat on a mountain. That tells me, being outside, being in the wild, in the Wyoming
Wouldn't have bothered him
landscape,
at all.
not a damn bit. I don't think getting into the cab of somebody's truck would be
Scared
something
him?
he would do.
No.
No, I don't know that he would have done it. I think if he was on a mission to walk, he would have. But I don't. That's not his character to go miles on in. Why not just go to a place there in Gearing versus walking overnight? He must have been, if he was truly walking to Torrington, which is 30, 40 miles away, he must have been truly upset about something that was said by the family. And then for Bailey to shrug it off as it upset you, but you just misinterpreted it. And he didn't see, I've been in situations where I'm in a fight with my person in the car, and if I got out and walked, it's because I need a few minutes before I do something I can't take back. That's that moment, that threshold for me, and I think a lot of people can relate to that. But if I keep walking, I'm thinking I just need away from you and everybody else because the situation is not good. I need to stay far away and get where I can manage myself and be okay. This doesn't feel good to me. And then her representation of the relationship not matching others, especially the person who lived with them. This case doesn't sit well with me. It feels like it did when we started looking at Veronica and Jilian, and I felt like that was an intimate situation. I feel the same way about this one.
Yep. And this guy, I mean, he's a bull rider, college scholarship for it.
Yes.
He's a tough,
Yeah.
he's a tough little cowboy for sure. So, stranger abduction, I don't know. That would be kind of hard to pull it off, probably.
He's he's 5'10", 195. That's a lot of. My son is about that size. My son's actually 5'11", 250. They're naturally. If you can ride a bull, you're naturally strong. Like that's
Oh
not
gosh,
something you're going
yes.
to work up to. That's something you can do. These guys are not. They're bred for this.
Yeah, you're like rough and tumble. I mean,
Oh,
you're gonna fight a bull, you're gonna fight somebody off. So
Yes.
that
So
seems strange.
maybe a group of strangers, maybe, but that would be pretty serious. No, this was somebody he knew. So maybe he did get into somebody's truck. Maybe one of Bailey's family members, or maybe another family member, maybe somebody he knew there in Gearing, maybe even an acquaintance. But I don't think this was a tragic accident
Right.
at all.
Peacock makes a good point. If he hitched a ride, then it's possible to be kidnapped. I mean, that is true. I didn't realize that there was that many missing men from that area.
From my understanding, my uncle lives up in the northern part of the United States, Michigan specifically, and a lot of people do go missing in that area, the whole northern part of the United States. But there's a lot of people missing all over the United States too. So, were they able to get pings off his phone? Yes, they did.
Yes,
That's one
and
of the things I need to look into.
I have
The
this video right here to share, and hopefully it will discuss that. Let me get that on here. This is cell phone data, best lead in missing case. This was posted a year ago. Oh, well, that's not a year ago. March 9th of 2023.
Of the Counterintelligence Behavioral Analysis Program. Thanks for being with us to talk about this case. I know you're read in on it, kind of taking a look at the evidence. There's not that much in this case, which I know makes it challenging. As more time passes, how much harder is it to find Chance for investigators and for his family?
Yeah, it's really challenging and really difficult as more time passes, as you mentioned. And I got to tell you, Brian Eads, the lead investigator for this, seems to be really on top of this. He's calm, cool, collected, measured in everything he does, seems to have a lot of years of repetitions doing this to bring all he can to it. But it is challenging. Anytime you have pain involved as well, which both families seem to be in, it makes it even more challenging because it can be distracting as well as helpful.
Right. And then the added complexity of the fact that there is just not a lot of evidence. There's no real evidence of a crime that took place.
Yeah, very true. And so what you start doing is you want to establish, from a 30,000 foot optic, maybe. So you kind of step out a little bit and you look for patterns of behaviors in everyone's life that touch Chance and in his life and in those around him. And you're going to look for deviations from patterns of their behavior. So you can kind of maybe zero in on leads that might be more helpful or less helpful, because as you know, and we've been seeing, it's either a tragedy that took place, someone took action against Chance, or Chance took an action himself. And so if it's either of the latter two, you're going to look for those patterns of behavior and looking for things in his life and those around him might have deviated just prior to it.
Chance's friend brought up that the weather that night was bad, that there was a storm that moved through, but the family seems to think that that is not involved in his disappearance. They said that they would have found him if he had fallen in a local lake or a river by now. Is that a reasonable conclusion for them to draw?
It's reasonable from the sense that his friends seem to have a really deep understanding of him and his capabilities. But you never want to rule anything out, because if you rule one thing out and you look too hard in one area, you'll never discover. But it sounds like they really exhausted that possibility pretty thoroughly, but you don't want to rule it out entirely, because then you become confirmation bias that you won't even look for it anymore.
His cell phone seems like maybe the biggest and only clue that they have to go on. So he sent sort of a cryptic message with an emoji. You couldn't decipher what it is he was saying after he's seen on that surveillance video. Are we past the point of being able to determine where the cell phone last pinged?
No, that's what I would definitely zero in on and keep my focus on that cell phone, because if we're looking, as I've said a few minutes ago, that pattern of behavior in life, everyone has said what a deviation from his normal behavior that was, both in the type of text he sent, the garbled language, the emoji, which he never ever sends, his pattern that we saw while he was walking in the last video of him. That is a major behavior spike in his life. And as technology has been advancing, our ability to utilize cell phone data has really been enhanced. So I would just keep focusing on that as much as possible, because that's, again, from our knowledge of the investigation, that's where we have that real major deviation in behavior, which might be a clue if it's something that is different than he's ever experienced before, no doubt.
And Robin, this is a really rural area. It's a small town. Gering has less than 10,000 people, whether he was in Gering or that other neighboring community. How does that impact the investigation and the manpower put forth to a case like this?
It's challenging in the amount of space that it covers, and wide open spaces makes it harder to find clues if we're looking for physical clues. But when it comes to manpower, the disposal at law enforcement's hands can be very vast because, and the investigator, Brian Eads said that, it sounds like he'd been part of a task force for the FBI for years. He was deputized by us. And so whether it's FBI, whether it's state and other locals, they'll assemble a large amount of people to do physical searches of areas and vast amounts of area. They can use aerial on types of things, people that know the area really well. So it's challenging because the space is so large, but they'll always have the amount of resources and personnel they need for periods of time because they'll do a search to that area, no doubt.
Many of these cases, though, Robin, the family feel as though they've exhausted all efforts with law enforcement in that investigation. They'll hire a private investigator. What are the advantages in a situation like that to bringing someone else on board?
There's always advantages to have a new optic on things. As long as that new advantage and new optic doesn't impede the investigation of someone else or start a negative confirmation bias that's going to go down and be hurtful and harmful to someone, and it's only going to help and build upon the things that have already been conducted. More objective eyes looking at a situation from a fresh set is always helpful, but sometimes it can be painful too, as long as it's going to be done in a productive manner, not counterproductive to what's already taken place.
Well, there is now a $200,000 reward being offered in Chance's disappearance. Robin Dreek, thank you for your insight on this one. Appreciate you taking a look at it with us. And right after today's show, make sure you join us for a live conversation. We'll be talking more about Chance Englebert's disappearance. It's a 30-minute live stream. You can join us on newsnationnow.com, also on our social media pages on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And if you have any information,
All right. So that was the investigator on the cell phones. I do have the best friend Matt that spoke out originally. And let's see, that was October 30th of 2019. Do we want to listen to that real quick?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. And then I think my question now would be, what's the situation with him and his wife? Like, did she divorce him after this, or do
I
we
don't
know
know.
any of that?
Don't know. What I do know is when they were, her and the mother, Chance's mother, were called into the police station within a few days of his disappearance for nothing other than an update to say we don't have anything. Bailey asked for a death certificate. And so I don't know if she was granted one, because if it's an ongoing investigation, he's not pronounced. I don't know if he's been pronounced as deceased. I don't know if he has a death certificate, but that is something that she's asked for right away.
Right away, huh? That's interesting. All right. So I think I have this sped up too. And if it bothers you guys with it being sped up, just let me know. But it just kind of helps. Some of these are a little bit long. So let's get this.
Asking me what has happened to Chance. And so tonight I'm bringing you an interview, the first time ever. His best friend, Matt, is going to be speaking out. Matt has some incredible information that I think is going to help shine a lot more light on this case and help you to understand better exactly what happened. So Matt, how long have you and Chance known each other?
We started at the mine in 2017, and that's when we met.
Okay. And you describe yourself as his best friend?
Yeah, I would say that. Not in front of him, but I feel a little weird. But
Okay.
yeah, I would say that we were close.
Very close friends. Okay. You guys would see each other at least every week, often every day? Is
Yeah,
that?
we worked the same rotation at mine, and then days off we were running together quite a bit too. So.
Okay. So you had shared with me that you actually were with Chance when he met Bailey, his wife, for the first time. Is that right?
Yeah, we were supposed to actually be hunting. We got in a lot of trouble over that deal with my wife, so we ended up in Nebraska picking up 2 derby cars, and then he snuck in that we were meeting a gal he was interested in, which happened to be Bailey.
Okay. And how had they met? If she was in Nebraska and he was in Wyoming, how had they actually met in the first place?
Online.
Online. Okay.
I don't know what site or anything.
Okay. So they probably met online, and then he's there and he says, "Hey, let's go meet this girl I'm talking to."
Yes.
Okay. So and when they met the first time, how did it seem like it was? Did they seem like they got along? They must have.
Well, he was really nervous. Chance was always nervous around new people.
Sure.
And anything like that. So I really remember this. We were both sitting in the pickup waiting for her to show up, and he goes, "If she's ugly or crazy looking, we're leaving immediately." we didn't get her close to the pickup, but she stepped out and he liked her. So
Okay, so that was good. You guys didn't try to run.
No, we didn't run.
That's good. Okay, so tell me a little bit about how long had they dated before they got married? Was it quite a while, or?
No, it was just that year. It was all real quick.
Okay, pretty quick.
Yeah.
So, and were you at their wedding when they got married?
Yeah.
So they all dated a year and they got
Okay,
married.
very good. And where were they actually married at?
Sundance, Wyoming.
In Sundance. Okay. And then was there any type of event for the family or a party or anything like that after the wedding?
After the wedding, we all went to Deadwood.
Okay, went to Deadwood, the whole family. Okay, and how was that? Was it a fun event? What was
It
it like?
was mostly fun. There was right off the bat, like there was an argument kind of, I guess, towards the end of the night between Bailey and Chance.
Okay.
And I don't know 100% what that was all about, but
Did he just say the night of their wedding that there was a argument? Tara's muted, but I think that that's what he just said.
I
Megan.
think, yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, he
I
did.
think it was.
Megan, you have not missed Veronica and Jilian. As soon as we're just going to go over Chance's best friends interview, and then we'll just move on to Veronica and Jilian and the new documents.
I was under the impression that Bailey didn't want Chance's family at the wedding, and there was a big, I don't know, backlash to that during that night after everybody got to drinking and whatnot.
Okay.
So Bailey did not want Chance's family at the wedding. They got to drinking, and there was an argument the night of their wedding.
So Chance had his family at the wedding, and you were told that she maybe was not happy about that, and there was some type of fight that occurred around that. Okay, so it sounds like there might have been some tension with the families kind of early on.
Yes.
Okay.
Sounds like some control issues to me, but.
So on the weekend that he disappeared, you actually were almost going to be hanging out with him. Is that correct?
Yes. Chance and I were talking during the rotation about maybe actually going to the Englebert Ranch for the 4th of July and catfishing. And then once we got on days off and got to visiting, Bailey and Chance decided to go to Nebraska instead.
Okay.
So that's when.
So that's when this sort of event happened, was that he could not hang out with you. He was going with her family instead.
Yes.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about the little guy, the little Banks, the baby, his son. What kind of a dad was Chance? What was Chance like when he was with his son?
You know, it was awesome, man, seeing what the little guy. I don't know how to explain it because I didn't get to be around very much with Banks.
Okay.
So I would say it was when Chance was being a dad, Chance was awesome.
Okay. He loved being a dad.
No,
Yes.
he was definitely busy with it.
Yes. Yeah. Was he excited about having a little boy? Do you remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very, very excited.
That's great.
And nervous.
And nervous. Yeah. First time dad. Okay. So let's go to the day that Chance disappears. So when was the first time you were aware that something was wrong?
When Chance called me. Was
Okay.
the first time I found out.
Okay, so you are back with your friends, what, on 4th of July weekend or with your family friends?
Yes.
Hanging out, okay. Your phone rings and it's him. And he says what?
He says that he got into a fight with his in-laws. He didn't say he was at the golf course or anything like that, but he said he was got in a fight with his in-laws and needed a ride home and
Okay.
was walking down the road.
Okay, did he tell you what road he was on? Did you know exactly where he was?
He didn't say exactly where he was, like not a mile marker or anything like that, but he said he was walking towards Torrington.
Okay, so he said, we got into a fight with the in-laws. Did he say what specific member of that family, or did he
Good
just say
question,
in-laws
Lynn.
in general?
Seems like she might have also had a problem with
Did he
his
tell you what
friends
argument
as
was
well.
about or what the problem was?
I can answer that one.
So he was sort of general, that there was a fight with the in-laws.
That's kind of.
According to Dawn, Chance and Dawn were very close, and they would talk often. Bailey would get upset, and the friend they lived with also confirmed this in his own words. Bailey was upset with how much Chance would talk with his mother or what he would share with her. So there was a lot of, I don't like you talking to her. I don't think you should be around her. And so there was that dynamic inserted into there, which leads to part of the reason why Bailey probably didn't want the family at the wedding, which is an unreasonable request, quite honestly. But
Right.
that was the problem. Is there is a lot of tension when it came to Bailey wanted all the attention. She didn't want Chance around his family, especially his mother. She didn't like the attention he gave his mom. But he was a mama's boy. He talked to his mom all the time. And at the time of Chance's disappearance, there had been so much drama going on that Chance actually wasn't talking to his parents at the time. And so when Matt may touch on this, I think it was Matt, when Matt called his parents to say, hey, you need to call Chance, his mom's like, he doesn't want to hear from me. I'm the last person he wants to hear from right now. I know they're fighting, but you need to find somebody he wants to talk to. So this added to the angles of his going missing, because his parents were like, should we even go? Will we cause more problems if we do this? So there's a lot to the story. It would take all night to cover it, and we still
Wow.
want to cover
Yeah, we're just
Jilian.
trying to
So
touch on the
yeah.
just touch on
So I
it.
was
So
trying to do
they
some teasers there, but we're getting into the nitty gritty. There's a lot of dynamics to this whole
Yeah,
situation.
and so were they only married a year before he went missing? Is that correct?
They were married in 2018, I do believe.
So yeah, maybe
About
just
a
about a
year.
year.
The baby was born, and then I think the baby is still like baby material. Like he was less than a year, I think, whenever he went missing.
Yeah, let me tell you, there wasn't much standing between my husband and his mom either, even though we didn't always see eye to eye. He most
Yeah.
definitely absolutely loved his mother 100%. So that's interesting.
How we talked.
Okay, okay. And did he seem intoxicated to you? Did he sound like he was drunk?
No, not at all.
Not at all. He sounded clear.
He did.
Okay. Did he sound confused or disoriented?
No, just upset.
Okay. And by upset, you mean angry, crying? What kind of upset?
Angry.
Angry.
Yeah.
Okay. So he was upset. He was angry, and he said there was a problem.
Yeah.
Okay. So what did you say you were going to do?
I told him I'd have to call him back, that I'd been at 4th of July party all day. There was no way I was coming to get him, so I'd have to make some phone calls. He said, okay.
Okay. So your thought was that you would try to find him a ride. Is that what you were thinking?
Yeah, I would make some phone calls. I knew a couple people in Nebraska, and I knew Chance's parents were closer than I was.
Okay. So there were a lot of people that have commented about that the weather was bad or soon to be bad. Did he ever did he ever mention that to you? Hey, it's going to rain, or there's a bad storm coming?
Not at all. No.
He never mentioned that. Okay. So you start making calls to people. Did you find someone that could go pick him up?
I did not find anybody that could go get him, but I got a hold of his mother, Dawn, and she was going to call his uncle, and his uncle was going to go get him, John. But
okay. So she told you that. She said the uncle will go get him. Okay. So then what did you do?
well, after that, we waited the rest of the night, and
Did you call Chance back and tell him that you had found him a ride?
we tried to call him back, but there was no answer.
Okay. So you talked to his mom. Mom says uncle will come. You're going to call him back and say, hey, we got to work out.
Yes.
But no answer.
No answer.
No answer. Did you get any other texts from him?
No.
Did you try texting him?
Yes.
Okay. And no response to
No,
your text?
not a thing.
Okay. So then what happens? What's the next thing you hear?
Well, the next thing I hear is he's actually missing, and that was the next day.
And who told you that?
I heard it from Bailey on the internet and Dawn.
Okay. So Bailey had posted something online saying Chance is missing.
So his best
So
friend
what did
found
you
out
do?
online,
Well, at that point, I was ready
That's
to
how
go
best friend's
start
supposed to
search
find
for him.
out.
But
right?
was talking
Just to be
Dawn,
snarky, I'm going to say that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Because my,
Okay. And Dawn is Chance's mom.
yeah,
So she told you.
yeah.
Yeah, I
It's-
mean, the family and the best friends are going to typically, normally, the first ones that you're going to notify. You don't want them finding out online.
No, you want the intimate inner circle to find out through the
Mhm.
intimate inner circle. And so the fact that he found out online does not,
Sad.
it only supports my theory, and quite honestly. And I'm trying to keep my theory
Right.
restrained, but it
No, I
gets
know.
harder and harder.
I
Like,
get it. I know that I know my mind's right where yours
Don't
is.
go down there and stay here.
Yeah, stay in Moorcroft and work till noon and see if Chance shows up there.
Okay. And so you did that,
Yes.
and he was not found.
No.
Okay. And so at that point, did you call Bailey back, or what did you do then?
At that point, I called Dawn and let her know we were going to leave. He wasn't there. So we left Moorcroft around and go help.
Okay. So your thought was he might show up at work today. He might just come walking in the door at work, and you'd say, hey, everybody's looking for you. But that didn't happen.
Right.
Okay.
If Chance would have walked off like everybody was hoping he did, he would have been at work that day.
Okay. Because you always show up for work.
Never missed it.
Never miss work. Okay. Very reliable guy.
Very.
Okay. So you get in the car and you head to Gering, where he's missing from. Is that correct?
Yes.
And who were you with?
I was with my wife and a friend.
Okay. And what did you do when you got there?
When we got there, we started trying to figure out where we could jump in and help at. We didn't get a lot of reply back from family or friends where they were, what they were doing. We were able to get a hold of Dawn. She said they were just driving around looking. So we just picked the best spot, which I thought would have been the last place he was seen, was that truck stop. And we started searching through trees and walking river bank.
Okay. And when you were doing that, were you seeing other groups of people out? Were you bumping into Chance's other relatives or any of Bailey's relatives? Were they out there looking also?
The only thing we've seen in the 3 days we were searching that river bottom, we walked miles upon miles, and we've seen one helicopter. Is what we've seen.
One helicopter.
Yes.
Never saw any other police walking?
No.
Never saw any other relatives walking?
No.
Bailey and her family has said that they were out searching. So you're telling me you were out searching and you did not see them out searching in that same area?
I did not see him searching where we were. No.
Okay.
Not during that time.
Okay. And that was the 3 days after?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you see anything in that 3 days that seemed unusual, or did you find anything?
No, didn't find a thing.
Didn't find a thing? Did you talk to people and ask people, has anybody seen this guy? Did you have pictures of him to show people or anything like
No,
that?
we didn't talk to very many people. We just pretty much put miles down on the ground looking for him down the river.
Okay.
Unfortunately, in a lot of these situations, especially with his age, he was 25, I believe.
Yep.
Right around there. Unfortunately, a lot of times law enforcement, has the mindset of, well, they just walked away and they have a right to do so. But typically that's not the case. So I'm not sure
No.
why law enforcement still has that kind of mentality. It shouldn't matter if somebody's 25 or 17. If they're missing, they're missing.
We were worried about
You were worried that what had happened?
that he may have fell in the river.
Okay.
That would be the only thing I could see happening to him. But even that is pretty odd that he would be able to do that. I don't know how to say that.
You would be surprised if he fell in the river, is what you're saying?
Yeah, we were hunting buddies and traveled a lot of country together. He's pretty sure-footed.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
a country boy that's comfortable in the woods.
yeah, we were. So I don't get where he went. I don't understand it.
Sure. So at that point, I assume that you communicated back to Bailey and the other relatives that you were not finding anything.
Yeah, well, at this point in time, we lost our jobs at the mine, and I hadn't worked for Blakeman yet, so my paycheck run pretty short, pretty quick. So that was all I could afford was 3 days down there looking for him.
Sure.
So at the end of that, we contacted Bailey and let her know that we were leaving. Got a text message saying thank you.
That was it. Okay. Now you had shared with me that there was something about a cell phone that was unusual.
Yes.
So to kind of step back a little bit, again, the day he's missing, there's something about a cell phone. Can you tell me that story again?
Yeah, at the point in time, I don't remember which day it was now. So the cell phone ended up on Chance's and Bailey's porch. Okay. And I never seen it. No idea. I called Bailey because I live 15 minutes from him. And
that's the cell phone I mentioned earlier.
So Chance's cell phone shows up on him and his wife's porch?
Not Chance's, a cell phone.
Oh,
it's a cell phone so far.
Okay.
And told her that a friend of mine had stopped by to check and see if Chance was home and found his cell phone.
So this must have been right after he was missing.
Yeah, this is everybody looking for him.
This is everybody. Okay, so he's just disappeared. Somebody goes to his house to see if he's there. He's not there, but there's a cell phone laying on the porch.
Yes.
Okay.
Really odd.
Just laying there.
Yes.
Okay. And so that friend calls you and tells you, hey, there's a cell phone on the porch. Did he take the cell phone? The friend that found it?
No.
He didn't. Okay, so you did what?
Well, I told him I was on my way into town. I'll take a look at it as soon as I get there. He left it there, and then on my way to town, I called Bailey and asked if there should be a cell phone laying around there, and she said no. So by the time I got there, she had already called a neighbor, and that neighbor came and got it and left town with it. So I don't understand what happened.
Left town with the cell phone?
Yes.
And do we have any idea whose cell phone this was?
No idea. When I had a friend's number, I talked to him, and he said it had nothing to do with Chance's disappearance and that he was already in Deadwood. So I got a little upset, wanted him to turn it into the police. I don't know if it ever did.
Okay. This is a strange story.
Very strange.
So I'm just imagining there's just
Well, that's very strange. The cell phone just shows up on the
Bailey
porch.
calls some neighbor and says, hey, come go grab that cell phone.
Yes.
Rather than allowing you to go pick it up?
Yes.
She knew you were on your way to go pick it up?
She did.
Why?
Okay. So there's a second part to this. So let me share that. And the second part's quite a bit shorter.
Yeah, House. Someone says it's a homeless person's cell phone, but I'm going to look into the size of Moorcroft, Wyoming, to understand how the homeless population, to get all those kind of things. Megan, you're a woman after my heart.
Right. She's just like, I'm just going to be straight up. This is a lie. It has to be a lie.
I'm just going to be straight up. I back you on that one.
Yeah, very strange indeed. Makes no sense.
His best friend, Matt. So, Matt, where do you believe Chance is?
That I don't know. I don't have a clue. He just wouldn't just disappear is the odd thing. So
Do you have a theory on what's happened?
I don't have a theory. I don't have a clue what would have went down.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit more about some of the things that have happened since this happened. So does Chance still have a job waiting for him?
Tara, do you know if that cell phone ever made it to the police station?
It was investigated by DCI. I need to go understand what that acronym means. So once I understand that, that I'll know more. But it's interesting the whole how it. It's interesting how Matt wasn't he wasn't allowed to go get it. Somebody else was going to get it. So
yeah, like why would it have mattered?
If and when he returns, and what are the circumstances of that?
Well, with Blakeman, it was kind of another odd circumstance that I was at work, and this was a week after, so far, probably within the week that Chance disappeared, that HR had come to me with Blakeman and asked me if there was a reason Bailey would have been wanting them to not hold Chance's job anymore. And she told me that Bailey had stopped in and visited with her about this, which really threw red flags and worried me quite a bit. So, and I don't know, the explanation she gave me for that wasn't the greatest, that she just was asking about other things that day, and that she said maybe Chance won't be found or something like that. It was a sad excuse for what she did.
So you're telling me that his wife went to his employer and told the employer to not hold the job?
Along those lines, yes.
Okay, and so because of that, they went ahead and released that.
HR came straight to me and asked me about it.
Okay.
And I said no. Well, I contacted Dawn, told her about it. She said no, hold his job, and I told her also.
Okay.
So they did hold his job up till, you saw that, 2 months.
Okay, so I have heard from multiple people that another request that was made by Bailey, his wife, was regarding getting a death certificate issued, that she wanted to know if a death certificate could be issued. Were you a part of that conversation? Have you heard this?
I wasn't a part of any of that. So on that part, I've heard of it and I've heard she did that. And I don't know that I'd say it would surprise me, but either way, I'm guessing she's trying to get some money for her and the baby, I guess, on the 401k, asking to withdraw it so quick and.
Okay, hold on. There was a 401k?
Yeah.
That he had through his work?
Yes.
Okay, and she, shortly after he disappeared, or at what point was she asking about the 401k?
I would say that was within the week too. She was trying to get this information.
Oh, wow.
For the 401k.
Yeah.
Okay. So that, your thought is what? Because she's lost her husband's income, that maybe she's needing some money, or?
Yeah, I would say that was it. They just bought a new house. Chance had a brand new pickup, the baby. So she's going to need money from somewhere. And I'm guessing that's what she was after.
Okay, very good. So if Chance were watching this interview and watching this, some people have said he just walked away, he's someplace and he doesn't want to come home. Let's say that he's on the internet and he tunes in and sees this. What would you want to say to Chance?
Boy, I don't know. Yes, I can't say that online, can I? Get home, Chance. No.
Pretty emotional about it. You miss him.
I do.
Yeah.
So.
What can people do to help? How can the public help?
Well, like Katie said, try to stick with her plan. Get a picture if you think you've seen it.
Okay.
Get it out there, spread it around. Somebody knows something.
Yes. Are the police doing enough in your opinion?
I wish I knew that. I don't know. I would say no, but
okay.
Who knows what they're doing behind closed doors? So.
Okay. Maybe there's things happening that you don't know are happening.
Probably very true.
Okay. So you'd like to hope enough is being done, but you do wonder.
I do.
Yes. With every passing day, I'm sure that you become more concerned that there may never be an answer.
Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. We're not ready to give up anywhere close to that. So.
Yes. Yeah. You'll continue looking for him.
You bet.
Yeah. Very good. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. Thank you so much. There are a lot of people that are very concerned about Chance, concerned about his family and the story. I would just like to encourage all of you that are watching this tonight to please continue to share Chance's story, his picture. There's a poster that I will put underneath this video that people can share. The more people see his face and know his story, the more likely he is to be found. I am seeking truth on this story, and I ask that all of you partner with me, partner with Matt, his Aunt Katie, and his family to seek the truth in what has happened to Chance Englebert. And thank you so much for tuning in this evening.
Very interesting to me that she, the death certificate and that kind of thing. That's
Death
that's a
certificate
big
telling the
red
best friend
flag.
not telling the best friend not to go after the phone on the porch, considering he's a trusted friend. He's been to the house many times. Surely he's okay to go do that. Telling work, a brand new job, don't hold the job. Even though they're saying we're going to hold this for him, which is a supportive thing organizations say, you know, when something like this happens, and the wife is like, you don't need to hold it for him. It's like,
Yeah.
but why? But and so I get it. Bailey is young. I need to point that out. At the time of all this, Bailey was 20, and Chance was 25.
Oh, wow. She was
So
only
she
20
is,
years old. I didn't know that. That's
yeah.
very,
So
very young.
there is that to be considered. But I think if some of us, you look back at being 20 and being married and with a newborn, and your husband goes missing. And I remember myself at 20, I would have been beside myself, regardless if we were fighting or not, and he went missing legitimately. And I also know how I'd feel if he went missing and I had a means of helping people understand why he went missing. So there's just, there is a lot going on with this one that, yeah, exactly, Peacock. I would not have. I'm not the same person at 20 as I am at 45. There's just no way. I'm not saying I could handle it any better today, but I don't know.
But those aren't going to be your first steps if your new spouse at that, father of your new baby, that would probably be the last thing on your mind.
I wouldn't even know, like, that's, I'm not married. I have my life insurance. I have all those financial means for my children, but I have somebody else that's a beneficiary because the idea is you guys will be too distraught. Hopefully, I would think you guys would miss me enough that unless you're responsible for it, you'd be too distraught to worry about all that red tape.
Yeah.
And they appreciate that, and there's agreements in place so that they don't have to worry about that. They can worry about grieving me. So I don't know, maybe I'm too much of a forward thinker, or I'm too paranoid that they'll off me and try to get the money. But I
Yeah.
don't know.
I mean, at 20, I don't think I had thought about things like that either, but I would have been I'm with Peacock. At 20 years old, I would have been absolutely
Mhm.
hysterical. I wouldn't have known
Well,
which way to
actually,
turn.
you know what? You know what? I will say this. My best friend, her husband was murdered. Um, and it's an unsolved mystery. It's an unsolved murder in Kansas. It would be a great one for us to look at too. And she was 24. She had a pair of twins with a newborn. The twins were about 6 or 7. The newborn was about 4 months old, and the husband was murdered at work. Um, and she was so busy with kids and trying to manage things, and she was trying to be hysterical. But every time somebody talked to her about it, people learned to stop asking her about her husband because she'd just break down and cry. She couldn't properly grieve. Um, and that's not too far off from where Bailey's at, right? Bailey's was 20 at the time. She's 25 now, about. And to this, I mean, it's been, oh gosh, it's been 20 years since he's passed almost, and she's still like, that wound hasn't quite healed yet. We can talk about it,
Yeah,
but
definitely.
something went down. Something is wrong, and it makes her mad because she doesn't have the answers.
Yeah.
So it's yeah. There's the word. I'm not done with this case.
No, not at all. This is just touching on it. So this is the
Yeah.
last thing I have on it, at least for tonight, but we'll definitely keep we'll dig deeper. We just haven't had much time, but this was updated December 2nd of 23. So I believe this might be one of the most recent articles that we do have. And this is the wyomingtruth.org. And again, I'll put all these links in the description if you want to go back and watch them yourselves. But real quick, Chance Englebert's grandmother had been hopeful that reward money would provide a much needed break in her grandson's missing person case. Linda contributed $200,000 to his reward last year on December 2nd. So that would have been 2022. But as his 30th birthday looms, the funds remain unclaimed. The idea, the grandmother said, was to provide financial incentive for people to share information on what happened to Chance a little over 5 years ago now. At the time, Chance was 25. He disappeared during a 4th of July weekend trip to, hopefully I pronounce it right, Gary, Nebraska, with his wife, Bailey, and infant son to visit her family. The couple lived in Moorcroft at the time. Chance had been golfing with his father-in-law and other family members on July 6th of 2019 when an argument ensued over a new job he had recently taken after being laid off from a local coal mine. Bailey told Engelbert's mother, Dawn. Bailey said that Chance called her from the golf course and told her he wanted to go home. The couple argued during the drive to Bailey's grandparents' residence, and then Chance set off on foot. As he walked through downtown Gering, he called friends and family in South Dakota and Wyoming to come get him, but all were too far away, according to Dawn. So he started walking the roughly 35 miles to Torrington. Chance was the last spotted on surveillance camera walking alone in neighboring Terrytown, about 1.5 miles north of Gering and the midway point between Gering and Scottsbluff. The last message that Chance sent to his aunt was a jumble of letters and emojis, which Dawn said Chance never used. His phone last pinged shortly after 9 p.m. the night he disappeared on a cell tower near County Road 19 west of Scottsbluff. This happened at about the same time a severe thunderstorm rolled through the region. Despite multiple searches with over 15 agencies, Chance has never been found. Brian Eads, the Gering police investigator in charge of the case, did not respond to a request for an update. It's 5 years they couldn't respond to a request for an update and an inquiry on how many leads the reward money helped generate. The grandmother's disappointed by lack of results. She put a 1-year expiration date on the reward money, figuring a year would give people enough time to come forward. And she says if they didn't, there was no reason to leave this money sitting in a savings account indefinitely. I am saddened that I couldn't have cut a cashier's check for this money and find some answer to the mystery for myself and my family. Seems the people in the know feel their life is more valuable than $200,000 and Chance's life is worth nothing. Dawn also is disheartened. The reward money did not provide information about what happened to her son. She said, I don't think we have enough money to get all the answers, but I hope that people will realize how much pain there is with Chance missing and speak up. Despite extensive local and national media coverage, including features on News Nation, Dateline, Eads and Gehring police investigators appear stumped. In an exchange with the Wyoming Truth in September of 23, Eads said that the investigation remains ongoing and police regularly follow up on tips. Additionally, Eads noted in previous interviews that he's not ruling out foul play, but there is no evidence to suggest a crime occurred. He said that Chance's family members have cooperated with police. In the absence of facts, however, rumors abound, as they always do. One rumor is that Chance succumbed to the elements, and he either fell or accidentally wandered into the North Platte River. But Dawn doesn't believe it. At this point, I don't believe that either. I don't know what could have happened, but I know that didn't happen, she said, citing her son's proficiency as an outdoorsman and physical strength as a former rodeo competitor. And that's what I would base my assumption on as well. That the elements, he would have known. I think he would have known how to handle that. A South Dakota-based private investigator has been working with Dawn on the case since January. Does not give credence to this theory either. He asked to remain anonymous out of fear that revealing his identity would jeopardize his work. From the evidence that he's gathered and following dozens of interviews, the investigator sees nothing to suggest that Chance succumbed to the weather or was a victim of the storm that evening. He did not fall off the bridge, the investigator said, and Chance did not decide to go for a swim in the middle of a storm. The investigator also is not surprised that the reward money didn't result in breakthrough tips. He said, first, people cherish their freedom more than money, declining to provide an update on the status of his ongoing investigation. The small group of people who may have knowledge of what happened to Chance is culpable and risk being charged with the crime. Therefore, they will not risk their freedom to collect a large reward. I believe they feel Chance is gone and therefore not worthy of the truth. So I think I know where the investigators' thoughts are. A family torn. Chance's disappearance has left a rift between Bailey, her family, and Chance's family, amidst swirling rumors and tension about what might have happened, Dawn said. The thing I've learned about a missing person case is that it brings out lots of evil, drama, and no one trusts anyone. The families just want answers and teamwork. It's another part of the heartbreak, unfortunately. And this time of year is hard as the family convenes to celebrate the holidays. We miss Chance so much. We miss his son, and we just need answers, Dawn said. We want our boy to be brought home and to get the justice he deserves. Chance should be here for his 30th birthday. He should be celebrating with us all. After December 2nd of last year, a $20,000 reward still remains. But the $200,000 that Grandma had put up, she only gave that 1 year. And I do want to kind of highlight this part right here. This happens often in missing cases. And I think it's a mixture, the rift between families and stuff. I think it's a mixture of the stress and the emotions and the roller coaster ride that people are on. And it does bring out a lot of evil, a lot of drama. It seems like it happens with every kind of case, and we just try really hard to keep that away from this channel anyway. So that is all we have on Chance. Let's see if I missed anything there. Do you know how much longer right now? How much longer for Jilian?
Coming up.
And really, there's not a whole lot new on Veronica and Jilian's case. They're just going through the motions of filing The court paperwork, everything is pretty much, what's the word, Tara, I'm looking for?
It's per process.
Yeah, it's just like the process of it. But let me pull that up. I think I can. There we go. The only thing is I can't see both screens at once. Okay. Now I can. So this is the amended request. Originally, they had filed a request for extension of time for withholding the medical examiner reports. Then an amended request was filed 3 days ago. Now, I didn't see any difference between the original and the amended. The only difference I saw was that the original had the order, like, the next hearing and stuff on it. That's the only thing I've noticed that is left off of this, so I'm not real sure why the amended. But it just says that come now, the state by and through the DA, George Leach III, to request an extension of time during which the full and complete autopsy reports from the autopsies of Veronica Butler and Jilian Kelley, not including information in the summary reports. Okay, so not including information in the summary reports, may be withheld from public inspection and inspection by any family member beyond the statutorily required 10 business days following date the report is generated by the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner. And he goes on to say, I'm the district attorney with the authority to make a criminal investigation in connection with these deaths. I declare that the applicable full and complete reports contain information that would materially compromise an ongoing criminal investigation. So, wherefore the state requests that the court order that the applicable reports be withheld from public inspection and inspection by any family members for 6 months beyond the initial 10 business days from the time that they're released. And just certificate of service. These are just all the different attorneys. We got Cole's attorney, Tad's attorney, the attorneys for Tiffany, Cora's attorney, and Paul's attorney. So all that really is just saying is that it sounds to me, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm wrong, correct me, please. It sounds like they might put out the summary, which is usually like the very basics. They might release that. But as far as the full, complete autopsy report, those are going to be withheld. And I imagine, I don't think this will go to trial within 6 months, but it might. I mean, I think the DA thinks that they can get this to trial by next year. So I just don't think that we're going to see any autopsy reports until the trial. Do you have any additional thoughts on that, Tara?
No, but I can see them trying to stretch this out as long as possible because the ending is inevitable. And I think if the defense had any case to keep their defendants out of jail, prison consequence, I think they would go full force now. I don't think they have what it takes. I think they're going to try to stall as much as they can.
Yeah, I do too. Well, the details that are in those reports, I know that, so many people are very curious about the manner of death. And, that's all going to come out soon enough. The families know the manner of death. And so really that's all that matters right now. They need to be able to absorb the information. They need to be able to grieve. And they don't need the entire public and the national news having these autopsy reports. And, he does say that he believes that, where was it? Let me go back over there. Where was it? Okay, so right there, he says, I declare that the applicable full and complete reports contain information that would materially compromise an ongoing criminal investigation. So if there's other people involved or if they're still trying to get answers from the suspects that are in jail. They don't want them either to know what's in these reports. So that's just another piece of information that the state's going to hold close to them. And none of us should expect that information. If the families decide that they want to talk about that, then of course, we'll allow that. But I just don't think we're going to see it. Hal said, are they all still court appointed attorneys? Well, we're still trying to figure that out. So what we have is, for sure, Cole has a court appointed attorney. Tiffany has court appointed attorneys. Cora does as well. Now we have Paul. I'm not sure if this is court appointed or not. I believe so, because Paul, if you remember, we posted in the group, he did complete his what they call it, the pauper, can't remember exactly what that is, where he makes $2,000 a month and said what he had to pay out in child support, blah blah blah. So even though his does not say Oklahoma Indigent Defense System, his doesn't say that, whereas everybody else's does. Tad's also does not say that. So we're still just trying to figure out, did Tad hire this Joy, or is she gonna, is she a public defender? And Tara is better at explaining that than I am, I think. So I'm just gonna let you kind of explain like how the other attorneys that may not be in the OIDS still can represent those that need public defenders. I think I
I
worded
still have
that right.
some, right. So I still have some work I want to look into. I don't feel confident in my understanding just yet. Now, I would not be surprised in some of what I have learned and what I have heard. I would not be surprised that because of the supply and demand for attorneys that are public defenders versus attorneys that are private, if they cross over one another, meaning that maybe like there is, for an instance, the defendants that cannot afford their own attorney, the state will provide one for them at either no or minimal cost. And so I'm curious if maybe some of those private attorneys are not in a system where they will offer to provide services in exchange for something else in the states. I'm not sure. I need to look into that a little more deeply to understand how these differences work in Oklahoma. They're very different from Kansas, especially in the area that I'm in. I'm in a very populated area, so public defenders are a dime a dozen. This is a very remote area, and I don't believe that some of their processes included situations like this. So they may
Right.
have had to. And so if you highlight Phoebe's indigenous, that doesn't mean what you think it means. So indigenous does not mean in the term of Native American or indigenous people. Indigenous in law, as far as Oklahoma is concerned, is anyone who can't afford a service such as attorney services. So that's why you will see. I thought the same thing. I went straight, face first into a puddle, quite literally a puddle, thinking it was a pond that Tiffany's trying to claim some sort of Native American rights or tribal affiliation. And in Oklahoma, indigenous means I don't have the money. I am without the resources to pay for proper defense. So that is what that is referring to. But yeah, I'll be digging deeper into that over the next couple of days to better understand, is there some sort of crossover between the private sector and the state representatives, or the state representation, state appointed or court appointed attorneys, trying to
Right.
understand Tad's situation.
Yeah, definitely. And I think and the reason I still think that Tad does have a public defender. Well, I still think that she is. I just do, but I
Yeah.
mean, I can't say 100% for certain, but also we know that Paul's is, and Paul's does
Right.
not have the OIDS on there. So that's
Yeah.
why I think it is still possible that Tad did not actually hire her privately,
Correct.
but I don't know. I just don't know
She
that
may have
answer.
offered her services too. She may have offered her
Exactly.
services. There's
This
no
is
way
a
to know.
huge case. And,
Yeah.
you know, think back like Casey Anthony when he took that case
Oh,
on. He
good
was a
night.
nobody. And
Yeah.
he just like, you know, he blew up. But
Oh, it's
like
huge now.
so it's huge,
Go
yes.
go back to that comment that you just had on the screen about, yes, if Paul is not a U.S. citizen, why do we foot the bill? The reason being, I will tell you, just because one of us stands up and says, you don't own me, I quit, I'm no longer part of the U.S. citizenship, that doesn't mean the government's like, oh, okay, cool, we'll honor that for you. That's not how it works. It basically, the U.S. government be like, yeah, okay, take your toys and go home. Fine, whatever. But we will still make you do what we want you to do. It's just like taxes. Most of us don't want to pay taxes, especially when they go up, but we do, or they come after us. And so this is the same kind of situation. You can file any paperwork, you can file any lawsuit, you can do whatever you want to do with the paperwork that's available. It doesn't mean the US government is going to be like, oh, okay, cool, that's what you. So sorry, we won't impede upon you anymore. We will not violate your boundaries. US government does not care. That's the whole point of that sovereign citizenship and American national citizen, or American state national rather, is that it's a person saying, I don't identify, and they just fall off the grid. And the government's like, we'll catch you later. Definitely we'll catch you later. And in Paul's case, it does not matter that he has his paperwork filed. He still violated law, whether he identifies with it or not. It's the same concept as ignorance of law is not an excuse. You may not know it's not okay, or it's not against the law to murder. And if you murder, you are going down for it. So it's in that same thing.
Shonda asks, I wonder if Paul is going to plead guilty and ask for a deal. Well, we know he's already confessed. Is my opinion, just my opinion only. I think him and Cora both will. I think that they'll both turn on everybody.
I think of all of them, Paul's the most likely,
Yes.
despite the fact that I think he was the least likely originally, because of, I think what they're going to find is because of his involvement, his knowledge, his understanding, I think he was the least likely to turn, but will actually be the first one to turn.
Yep, I agree.
You're welcome. And Phoebe, I will definitely, I will confirm that for certain. I will find some paperwork somewhere that backs that up, but that's based on the understanding I have. That's where I'm at. Same with Tim McVeigh. Mr. Jones took him as a client because he felt he wouldn't get a fair Okay, so how many of us so this is related, not related. How many of us as taxpayers, when these situations come up and you just feel sick that somebody would want to defend them, and now we have to pay for them to be defended in order to get a fair, there's a real torn feeling, right? That, yeah, everybody deserves a fair trial, but for reals, like, we have video of you doing it. We have solid evidence. 2 of you are saying that you did it. So that's such a, that's a hard thing to try and balance out. So kudos for those folks that can really do that. That would be difficult for me, I think.
Oh gosh, me too.
What
I
type
could
of-
not be a defense attorney. What type of plea would they
No.
possibly offer? Well, these are capital murder cases, so that's mean death penalties on the table. So they could offer them
Yeah,
a
it would
plea.
be-
You give me all the
It'd be life.
information. Yep. Like I
It'd be
mean,
life.
I just did that that live this morning on Adam Montgomery, and you know, he's facing life. They don't have the DP where he's at, but the prosecution did offer him a lesser sentence if he would let them know within 7 days where his daughter's body is, right? He didn't want to do it. He wouldn't do it. So that was like a plea offer as far as his sentencing was concerned. He could have gotten a lighter sentence, but he didn't want to say, you know, where little Harmony is, and he probably never will. But he could have gotten a lighter sentence had he done that within 7 days. So I think that's the kind of plea deal we would be looking at.
Thank you, Phoebe. It's a good point, Peacock. But at the same, that's such a. I have ideas on
I
how
do
you handle
too.
that, but they're not appropriate. They're
I
not
know.
appropriate, and YouTube will shut you down if I share them.
Yeah, let me take this banner off the screen real quick. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I kind of feel the same, Peacock. I don't know. I believe in the DP 100%, but I also know with that comes lots and lots of appeals, and it costs the taxpayers a ton more money. And sometimes I just rather see them have to sit there and suffer the rest of their lives. And I don't know. That's kind of my thoughts on it, but I totally believe in the DP, and we have to say it that way because YouTube. But yeah, fight to take it off the table. That will be the defense. I agree, Angel. I think that that's
Yeah.
exactly what will probably happen with at least Cora and with Paul. That might be where they head with that one. But we could be completely wrong. We'll have to wait and see. In the case of Veronica and Jilian, the prosecutor has everything, including the bodies. So there will be no bargaining for the if you tell us where to take it off the table. That's possible.
Agreed. They know where the bodies are at, but so as much as it sounds like a slam dunk case, it doesn't always work that way
No, it
because what
doesn't.
looks like a slam dunk in real life has so many processes. Did you get the evidence fairly and legally? Did you get this information fairly and legally? That's why law enforcement looks like a bunch of incompetent folks running around, with their hands up in the air screaming that the sky is falling because the legal process that they have to go through to ensure everything that they collect is admissible in court is stressful. It is not easy. So for everybody else, the news, everybody that makes it look so easy, it's not. That's why
No.
the post I've made in the past on the Veronica and Jillian site, when I say it's not over, that's exactly why. We have to hope that everything collected was collected with integrity
Yes,
according
all
to the
the
law.
everything, the I's were dotted and the T's were crossed. I can tell
Yes.
you that there's another case that I cover, and that is Chad Dorman out of, I think he's in Ohio. He, as soon as police officers walked up to his front porch after he unalived his 3 young boys, he confessed. He confessed right away. And the judge just threw his confession out. So
And there's
there's
reasons
that.
for that.
Yep. So we can't always count on, well, they confess. Well, I just saw it happen just a week or 2 ago where his confession is thrown out. They cannot use that against him, even though he 100%, like I've got the video cams on my channel, and he completely admits to everything right then and there. But it has to have been done the proper way, and he also asked for an attorney, and they continued to question him. So, they got it all thrown out. This next one that's on the screen, this isn't something I wanna go very deep into whatsoever because, this is Tad's, custody case with his ex-wife. He has put her through he's put her through hell, okay, for years. But I want to explain where it comes from, where this statement has come in, because I've seen other channels not understand where that came from. That I was reading Yep's comments. Sorry, that the reason for him saying that he did not do this. Okay, so this is just a very small portion of what his ex-wife had filed just very recently. In fact, she filed this on April 18th of this year. So in that, she is asking, they had joint custody, and there was a joint custody plan in place. And so in this, she is filing for full custody of their child together. And on number 7, it says, since the entry of the modified joint custody plan, there's been a change in circumstances. that makes that modified joint custody plan to not be in the best interest of the minor child and makes it impossible for a joint custody plan to succeed. And it goes on to say that on April 13th of 24, Tad was arrested on felony charges. On April 17th, the petitioner was formally arraigned and he was charged with multiple felony counts for murder, kidnapping, and conspiracy to commit murder. Bail on all charges was denied. Tad is the petitioner, remains in the Texas County Jail for the present and foreseeable future. And because of his incarceration on these multiple felony charges, the petitioner cannot share in any aspect of the physical and legal care, custody, and control of the minor child. Because of the heinous nature of these crimes, it's not in the best interest of the minor child for the petitioner to have joint custody. So that is what that was about. And then Tad had to make a response to it. He filed this on May 6th of this year. And when he filed it, I forget I have to make it bigger every time. When he filed it, he puts in there that he admits that he was arrested and that he remains in the Texas County Jail. However, petitioner's Tad, denies he committed the crimes for which he was charged and reminds the court that all parties are presumed innocent until proven guilty. So that's where that information has come from. Of course, he's going to say he's innocent. I mean, did anybody expect anything different? He's going to say he's innocent, but I'm not real sure why he would still be trying to fight for joint custody at this time, because I don't think that Tad's ever going to see the light of day again. And I think his ex will probably be very happy to be done with him once and for all. I
It
would
makes
be
you wonder,
anyway.
though.
So
Right? It
that's
makes
where
you
that
wonder if that's part of
information
his.
came from.
Well, it makes you wonder if that's part of his defense strategies to say, "I'm innocent. I'm going to prove I'm innocent. I still need custody." Like it's got to be like those are two handheld cases at this point as part of his defense strategy.
Yep. And yep, you're correct. So yeah, his statements weren't thrown out, but his confession was. So it does happen. It just everything has to be done correctly. Otherwise, the defense will poke holes in everything, and it's up to the state to prove their case. It's not up for the defense attorneys to prove their client's innocent. So they're going to try to poke holes in any and everything. And, we've all seen the other document. Which one was that? Let me look real quick. This one was. I'm looking. It was Tiffany's motion for discovery. Give me just a minute and I'll get that pulled up. Her motion for discovery is pretty normal. Like I looked at other cases that I also am covering, and their motion for discovery pretty much reads about the same. So let me pull that one up real quick. In this, she is asking for OSBI rap sheets and records check on any witness listed by the state or the defense as a witness who will testify at trial, as well as any convictions of any witness that, can you guys see that? No. Now you can, right? Okay. So she is asking for the social security numbers, date of birth for the witnesses, except OSBI rap sheet record checks, though they won't provide date of birth, social security. She is also was asking for, what was it? I was trying to get at the one where she's talking about, well, I'm just going to say the name. What's his name that might be involved there?
Beasley?
No, not Beasley.
Or
Kevin.
Not Cooks, not Kevin McIntyre.
Yep, Kevin McIntyre. So she is asking for information. The Their criminal rap sheets, record checks, OSBI, FBI, NCIC, and JOLTS, and any other records of other law enforcement agency known to or in the possession of the state, detailing any prior criminal conviction of the defendant and the co-defendants. I don't know if that's going to pose a problem or not. Kevin is on the witness list. He does have a history. He also has a history with Tiffany. So I think that's pretty well known at this point.
Yeah.
So that very well might come out in all of this. That was the only reason I wanted to bring it up, though. The complete criminal history of the informant. The specific statements made. And this is a lot of reason why people were afraid to come forward with information, because the suspects or those, that have been charged, they have every right to know who is accusing them and who is giving statements and all of that stuff. So
Yeah.
that makes it a little rough for people that want to come out and speak the truth, Shonda, their attorneys will be diligent in making sure their rights are protected as they should. Yep. I don't think. I'm not sure what that one is. I don't think see a retrial or God forbid one gets off. Yeah. I don't think that they're going to get off of anything at all. Yeah, I think Lynn, I'm pretty sure he'll get denied custody for sure. And, like I said, we don't want to bring that custody issue into this case. I only brought it up for simply just the reason of that is where the information came from of him saying that he is innocent in what he's being charged with. But I wouldn't have expected anything else. And yes. Kevin McIntyre. And all the digital evidence is solid. I think they have a pretty solid case. I really do. They've got a lot of evidence. They have bodies. They have a lot. So, but it's going to take time, and it's not going to be a fast process. And I think we may not. So the next hearing is the 15th, I believe, and then that's just a status hearing. I think that's just going to be between the the judges and the attorneys. It's not like anything that any of us would probably be super interested in and watching, I don't think. But other than that, from there, things might pick up a little bit. Any new documents that are filed, Tara and I are, we check every single day. So we do get all of those documents. We don't post them all, obviously, but we do have them. And we will go over any new ones that we can get. Hopefully Monday or Tuesday of next week, I think we might be able to get somebody on that has a lot of legal knowledge and currently works in the field, and maybe she can help us all understand a whole lot of the processes a lot better. I hope.
I hope so too. Yeah, I don't think we've seen the end of it either.
No, I don't
I think
either.
there's more out there.
Yep. We've said it from the beginning, and I think we're still saying it. I still think that there is going to be more on there. Number 34 on Tiffany's discovery. I wonder if that's not what I was trying to look for earlier. Let me see. 34. Number 34 reads whether the alleged victim was under the influence.
Under the influence.
Whether the alleged victim was under the influence of alcohol and or any drug at or near the time of the alleged crime, and if so, what was the amount and type of the alcohol and or drug, as determined by the toxicology report prepared by the hospital medical examiner's office. I don't think that they think that either ladies were under the influence of anything. I think it's just going through the motions in these filings.
Everything you can do to stall.
Yes,
Every single thing you can do
covering
to
all the
stall.
bases and I don't think so. That's not something I've ever thought of, Phoebe.
No, I hadn't either.
Yep. Thank you, Angel. And
Oh,
again,
thanks,
Yep.
Angel.
We really appreciate all of you being here, always. And thank you so much for sharing interest in these cases with us. And that's how these cases get solved. Especially, the two that we highlighted at the beginning of this live. Hopefully, you guys can share that information, share Chances for sure. 5 years is way too long for him to be missing. And
Yes.
yeah, well, there's a whole lot of kids affected in so many different ways. I worry for all of them. But I do think that they have wonderful families that are going to be there to support them and guide them and, get them the therapy and everything that they're going to need. So I think that at least in this case, they do have amazing, supportive, and loving families that will be there for them. And it doesn't always
Yeah.
work out that way. So this one, they're lucky for all of that. And the families are all wonderful.
Agreed.
All right. Do you have any closing thoughts, Tara? Because that's all I have. I feel like I've been
No, I
live
think
all day today.
we've covered a lot. Just we just keep moving forward, keep collecting things, and it's really great that everybody was here with us tonight, though, because that makes everything worthwhile. To see the following, to see the energy and the spirit of those who want the same thing we do, which is to find justice for those folks. They didn't ask for what they got. It's not okay.
Nope, not at all. Thank you, Sunset Girl. Appreciate you. Yeah, I think that is just. I think it's just verbiage in the filing document. I don't think it's that
Yeah.
they think anybody was, drugged or anything like that. I think it's just going through the motions, and most of those documents, most of them will read kind of the same way. So. But any new information, we will definitely, the Facebook group is where it goes first. We don't go live every day. The reason, I'll tell you why, because there's not new information every day. And
Correct.
I'm not one, nor is Tara, to just come on here and just go live day after day after day, repeating the same things or repeating rumors or anything like that. That's not what we're here for. We're here to give you guys the facts as we know them, and sometimes those facts change along the way as well. So things that we knew in the very beginning or thought we knew, some of that's changed, and that'll continue to be that way. But we'll follow this all the way through to the end. And meanwhile,
we
we'll
will.
work on Chance's case for sure. And make sure you guys, this is a Facebook page. You guys join that Facebook group or page for Chance. Let me scroll up here to the top. Somewhere. There we go. So the page name is Help Find Chance Englebert. It's got quite a few followers and a ton of information, photos, videos. There's so much here. So please go follow that, and let's see what we can do to help those families as well. All right.
Agreed.
Peacock, thank you for being here again. Peacock was here
Yes.
earlier today too, so it's really been a long day. We appreciate you guys. Thank you for showing just as much interest as we do. Thank you for always being so respectful too. I always feel like our chat doesn't even really need mods. They're there just in case, but the chat's always so respectful, as
It
is
is.
the Facebook group with 20,000 plus people. I'm telling you, the most respectful, great, wonderful group of people, and I don't know how we got so lucky, but we did, and I'm thankful for that. So with that,
Awesome.
that's all I have tonight. Thank you, Tara. I appreciate you. I appreciate you so much. And we
Thank you,
appreciate
Kari.
all of you guys. All right. You all have a wonderful evening. Please give the video a like real quick. It just kind of helps it get shared on the Facebook a little bit, or on YouTube a little bit better. And if you're not a subscriber, we'd love to have you. Until next time, we'll see you soon. You guys have a wonderful evening.
Good night.
Good night, Tara. Bye-bye.